referred to the BMA Law Enforcement Office for secondary investigation.
A panel interviewing candidates for NPA boss has pressed advocate Menzi Simelane on the 2010 Blood Diamonds case that was tried during his term. Simelane was being interviewed as the final candidate vying to return as NPA head yesterday after the Constitutional Court ruled that his appointment was invalid in 2012. 6 candidates have been interviewed for the post as advocate Chemela Batoyi's term comes to an end next month. The Blood Diamond case involved the gifting of 3 uncut diamonds to supermodel Naomi Campbell by former Liberian President Charles Taylor, which happened in South Africa at a dinner in 1997 that was hosted by former President Nelson Mandela. Khomotso Modise has more.
During his interview, advocate Menzi Simelane raised the Blood Diamond case, informing the panel of a meeting he had with advocate George Bezos, who was representing former Nelson Mandela Children Fund trustee Jeremy Ratliff, who wasn't accused. This came after he initially told the panel that when he was the NPA boss, he usually did not interfere with the work of directors of public prosecution, a practice that the panelists believe he deviated from when he had the meeting. But Simelane has refused to concede to this point, denying that the meeting was irregular.
It was not to discuss the case, it was to hear. Remember, they had not indicated what proposition they would want to take forward or what they would want to argue. So I said, okay, I'll hear you. It was only when he had arrived that he said, we want to make representations and we would want to make representations in terms of which we're going to argue that this is de minimis. Yes.
While the results of this meeting was never established, in 2011, Ratliff was found not guilty. Khomotso Modise, Eyewitness News, Pretoria.
Public Works Minister Dean McPherson says as much as there's been public outcry to deal with hijacked buildings, government has had to deal with pushback from civil society groups. He's lamented spending public money to evict people from these buildings only to be opposed in the court applications. McPherson says considering the 88,000 properties in their portfolio, the number of hijacked buildings is relatively small at around 386. The minister briefed media at Parliament yesterday on the steps being taken to deal with the matter.
We have a strange situation where we are working very hard to reclaim those buildings and that land back. We are being fought at every turn by groupings, by advocacy organizations that are happy for the status quo of those derelict and hijacked buildings to remain.
McPherson says despite the work that's been done by his department, he will be blamed still when the next tragedy strikes at one of these buildings.
And so we also have to seriously ask ourselves, are we to blame for hijacked buildings when we are being opposed at every turn to trying to actually secure those buildings and provide people for better accommodation?
And Hong Kong pro-democracy media tycoon Jimmy Lai will receive the verdict in his national security trial next Monday. Lai, who turned 78 this week, is charged with foreign collusion under Hong Kong's national security law. Beijing imposed the law following huge and sometimes violent pro-democracy protests in 2019. Lai has been behind bars since late 2020, reportedly in solitary confinement, with Western nations and rights groups calling for his release. Gold is trading at $4,282.42 an ounce. The rand is at 16.86 to the dollar, 22.58 to the pound, 19.78 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $61.74 a barrel.
And in the traffic, we've got delays on the N1 North between Malibongwe Drive and Winnie Mandela Drive. There's also queuing traffic along Malibongwe Drive. This is in the Sharon Lee area, right as you approach the N1 exit due to roadworks. A
partly cloudy day in store for Gauteng this Friday, with afternoon showers and thunder showers expected later. The temperatures will peak at highs between 25 and 27 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour, the Border Management Authority says it will clamp down on illegal operations this festive season after authorities stopped suspected human trafficking syndicates at OR Tambo International Airport.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
You're with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
Let's Walk the Talk, streaming on the Prime Media Plus app,
DSTV channel 856,
92.7 and 106 FM.
Seven minutes after 9 o'clock. Dumelang. Happy Friday. Welcome to the Clement Manyathela Show on this 12th day of December. It's wonderful to have you with us here on 702. I hope your week has been great so far. We start the show with the 702 open line. You can call us on 011-883-0702. WhatsApp's on 072-702-1702. Gratitude Friday starts now. What are you grateful for this week? What happened this week that has put a smile on your face? Give us a call or send a WhatsApp voice note. So now that all the candidates for the head of the NPA have been interviewed, who stands out for you? There are some people who were praising Menzi Simelane, but he had a lot to defend yesterday. He was confronted with several allegations and findings against him. Hemion Cronje, the former head of Hijacked, what did you think of her? So I don't necessarily have an issue with her, but I read an article this morning that was putting her as one of the front runners, and the biggest reason she was picked as one of the front runners is that she was critical about the NPA. And look, I didn't watch all of her interview, but I caught some bits, and I don't think criticizing the NPA should be sufficient for you to be the front runner. Yes, you need someone who can diagnose the issues so that they can deal with them, but beyond criticizing or diagnosing the issues, what else do you offer? Like, what's your temperament? What are your skills? What are your leadership skills? What's your grasp of prosecutorial matters, the legislation, you name it? But she's also a favorite. And then there's the former Financial Intelligence Center head, Xolile Kanyile. She largely had a positive interview, apart from those discrepancies on her CV that she was challenged about by the minister. And then yesterday we spoke about Andrea Johnson, and a lot of you were not happy with her. So who stands out for you? Kanyile and Cronje seem to be favorites of some people. Simelane definitely has his crew. Who is that person for you that you think can do a good job as head of the NPA? And what's convinced you? We're going to take your calls on that and your WhatsApps. Here's another question. It seems like it's becoming clearer and clearer as to who will be potentially running for ANC president. Paul Mashatile, his campaign is well on, albeit in a subtle manner. So is Fikile Mbalula's campaign. Togo Tidiza's campaign is also on the move. I mean, people who wanted to be president have started doing the work on the ground. The name of Ronald Lamola keeps coming up. So is the name of Dr. Kgosientsho Ramokgopa. Senzo Mchunu may take his chances, but he will be quite bruised in 2 years' time. But then again, the more controversial you are in the ANC, the better your chances, some might argue. So who do you think can help save the ANC out of some of the names that have already started being mentioned? I'd like to hear your thoughts on that too. Between 10 and 11 o'clock, we're going to do the Across the Desk feature. And today I'm hosting private investigators. Have you ever hired or used the services of a private investigator? And what was it for? And do you ever wonder what their job entails? We are going to find out today, because in recent years, the South African PI industry has grown significantly. And you could argue that is powered by demand from both the public and private sectors. I mean, the police are grappling with limited resources. Many people feel they need an additional layer of investigative support to get answers quickly. And as technology evolves, so does crime, right? From digital scams and cyber stalking to sophisticated corporate fraud, making specialized investigators more valuable than ever before. So when people hear the term private investigator, you may probably think you're picturing trench coats, dramatic confrontation straight out of a TV drama. But in fact, in South Africa, the world of private investigation is far more nuanced, far more professional, but also increasingly essential. So we'll host private investigators between 10 and 11 o'clock. I'd like you to ask you whatever question you've always wanted to ask private investigators at 10. At 11, though, we're going to do our relationship feature. And today, I want us to discuss the grey divorce phenomenon, the late life divorce. When you're divorcing after 50. Because we often assume that couples who've weathered 20, 30, even 40 years of marriage are safe, quote unquote. But that's not the case. Why are older couples, after spending nearly half of their lives together, ending their relationships? And this is a conversation even some of us who are young and married need to listen to, because I think there are some lessons we can learn. Because as we age, life brings new challenges and changes. And one such challenge, which is increasing worldwide for many people over 50 years old, is divorce. So navigating divorce is always difficult, but grey divorce can be more complex than divorce at a younger age, because we're dealing with a number of factors here: accumulated assets, retirement accounts, their potential health issues. So there's a lot to consider. And one would think that divorce in couples over the age of 50 would have been, people who've been together for years, would not be as common as for younger couples. And yet, grey divorce is on the rise, believe it or not. And the reasons behind it are just so complex and varied. So we're going to tell you about what the statistics show, because there are suggestions that factors like the empty nest syndrome, shifting priorities, financial problems, reduced stigma surrounding divorce can also play a role. So we'll tell you about it and how that can be navigated and how you can get to a point where you avoid a grey divorce if you're married young. That's a conversation we're going to have on our relationship feature at 11 o'clock. That's the show coming up over the next 3 hours.
Clement Manyathela, streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM.
Goeiemorgen man, Floris here from the beautiful Western Cape. Clemmy, today I'm very, very grateful towards my employers. I'm the only worker. I manage a small holding for a foreign landowner. And yeah, yesterday I received a gift. Solar was installed on my house 5 years ago. I received for Christmas a car. And yeah, so I'm just thankful for employers that still look after their workers. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Clement, my man, Clement. I hear you mentioning people who are running for president in the ANC, and you're not mentioning the person that I was hoping would run for presidency. And I think he would have the most impact, which is Panyaza Lesuf. Why don't they give that guy a chance, man? I think he stands a chance to make a difference, Yes, he has his errors, but I think he's driven. He's very driven and ambitious.
Yeah, look, I'm not mentioning people running. I'm mentioning names that are already out there, that are being mentioned, and people who have got people on the ground doing campaigning for them in a subtle manner. Because, of course, nobody's going to tell you in the ANC now that I'm running for office. It always starts like this. It's very subtle. They'll always say, we're waiting for the time to start. If the branches ask me, I will say yes. But that time, they've got a strong team on the ground that's already started doing the work, that's already leaking the stories. But yeah, Panyaza Sufi, who knows? Maybe he may, but he has told me before in the show that he's not interested in that, at least in the short term. I think that's what he's indicated before. So I wonder if maybe that is something that we could see. Let's see.
Hi, morning, Clement and team. Mapari Hero report. I believe those two, Kronya and Simalene, must be out because they bring in too much attention to the interviews, to the process, to everything. Let's just start over and get someone with no drama who you're going to judge based on what they be doing. Not what if this person, they should have done this, they should have done this. No, out. Let's just start on a clean slate. The other four, let's focus on them. These other two are bringing too much attention to the process.
Clement, my favorite is Advocate Grenier for NDPP head. And the reason is that she's got experience in building up units. For instance, she was part of the team that built up the asset forfeiture unit. That's one. Secondly, she also built up the investigating directorate, IDEC now. So I think the NPA needs a builder of units, Also, she's got quite impressive international experience with anti-corruption organizations. So, yeah, I think she should be the one who's appointed to the position. So, yeah, that's my comment on that. Thanks.
Morning, Clement. I think Advocate Cronier will take it. He's well experienced. He's been all over the world. He knows the ins and outs of the NPA. You can see even in his interview, he was very relaxed. Thank you.
Yeah, but that's what we were told about Advocate Shamila Batohi before she started. I'm just saying that sometimes, and there are many people who were mentioning that as good qualities for her to be the next NDPP head. And the same people now are coming back and are saying, we feel failed by her. So I'm just saying that it's tough. It's tough because sometimes it's somebody who has traveled around the world. Sometimes it is someone who has been in the NPA for that long, who understands the ins and outs. But is that person going to be the one that is that is the capacity to lead a complex institution like the NPA? And is it really a poison chalice? Because at the end of the day, for as long as you're not dealing with systematic issues, then nobody's ever going to be able to be successful in that job. So for as long as you're not capacitating the NPA with the necessary skills, for as long as you keep on cutting the budget of the NPA, for as long as you don't make the salaries of prosecutors of the NPA more competitive so that they don't leave for the private sector, so you don't lose the best of the best because you're just not paying them enough, for as long as these matters are not addressed, is it even possible to have anybody who can come in there and be successful? So maybe you are set up for failure given how complex and systematic the issues are, because you still need a government that's going to prioritize the NPA when it comes to funding. You need a government that's going to realize how important it is to change legislation if you need to. I mean, even the job of the head of the NPA, the salary is not that attractive. There are people that have been in private practice who would be great, possibly at heading the NPA, but they're not going to come for that salary. So that makes things even more trickier, I guess.
Morning, Climate and the team. I am for my Gratitude Friday. I am grateful that I've reached this far in the year with all the bad and the good of the year that had to offer for me. I'm grateful for Pierre, and I'm also grateful that I'm going to see my family for the holidays. So it's my last week of working today. And I'm wishing everyone happy holidays. And you too and the team, thank you for keeping us company for the whole year. And when we work, we always work with you guys in our ears. And thank you for being our friends on the radio, our family on the radio, and wishing you guys all the Happy New Year and Merry Christmas too. Hope we see each other again next year to discuss our messy country in all its good and glories. Okay, bye.
Hi, Clement, this is Sedola Tutsumane. Clement, for me, Mendes Milane seems to be highly experienced from being a DG as well, once an NPA head. But, the way he was moved out of that position is questionable because, I suspect the guy can be truthful, Hemi and Kronje, should be the one.
Hi, morning, Clement. I think there's a dark horse, and if his name can be raised publicly, I think a lot of people will support Patrice Motsepe. It's about time we get somebody who doesn't have scandals, who doesn't have issues, who is well known internationally, and a person who is capable to manage companies, hoping that he'll manage the country. I think Motsepe will be good for ANC and even for unity of ANC, because these other ones, they're fighting each other too much.
Hola, Major. Ken Nagamo, Kai. I think Patrice Motsepe will be the best guy to run the country and ANC. Maybe I'll even vote for him. What I know is that he won't install Amamenemen inside his administration. Seems like he's a good guy who wants good governance. He definitely won't bring the land back, but I'm sure he will rein in the mass corruption that is become quite, I don't know the right way to describe it, a norm in our country. So, put Patrice Motsepe there.
Isn't that what you guys said about President Cyril Ramaphosa? Some of you were saying, he's rich, so he won't feel the need to steal. Fair enough, because, there is no even accusations of him being accused of stealing anything, right? But that's the reason that some of you mentioned. There's a scandal with Palapala, which is a bit different, as awkward and weird as that is. But I'm talking now about like stealing from you as a state, as a taxpayer. So, but there was hope, and I don't know. And in politics, you also need to be political. Like, it's not enough to be a good guy who's going to save this country. You need to still be able to maneuver the political dynamics. And I don't know if, Patrice Motsepe is able to do that. By the way, he's already distanced himself from those that are claiming that he wants to run. He seems to indicate he has no interest in getting into politics like that. But hey, you never know what happens next. Listen to Togoti Diza. It's so funny because these guys, when you ask them, they all... Here's what Naledi Pandor, I think I once asked her in an interview. There are people who want you to be the next president of the ANC. Are you keen? And she said categorically, no, I'm not interested. Now, how do you know someone is interested? They won't say categorically, like Naledi Pandor has said it. They will tell you, if the branches say so, or when the time comes, please. We're talking here about the position of president of the oldest liberation movement on the continent, a position that would lead to you being president. You're telling me that you haven't thought about that, whether you want it or not? Please, Togoti Diza has been trying to make us think she's not interested, she's thinking about it, it's not the right time. But listen to the song that she was leading just yesterday. Okay, let me translate the song for you, some of you that may not understand isiZulu. The song says, names are being called. Ayabizwa amagama. Elam likhona, meaning my name is there in the names being called. My name is there in the names being called. And then it says, amagama, amakawe. What is kawe in English? Amakawe is it women? Is it kawe? Amakawe, is it women? No, just, okay, it's not women. Because then they mention amakawe there. But do you see what I'm talking about? Someone says, that's what I'm saying, the campaigns are they're family. Oh, and you should see the people that are singing along there. Abo Mondli Kungubele. There's a former minister. Who's this former minister whose wife was arrested for drug possession or something related to that? I'm forgetting this former minister of state security. Stele, something Stele. He's here also singing along. Bomondli Kungubele is singing along. You can tell who supports Togo Tidiza. And for Togo Tidiza to hold that mic and lead a song like that, after her name has been in the papers over the last couple of days with suspicions and yeah, politicians are so interesting.
Hi, morning, Clement. I think there's a dark horse, and if his name can be raised publicly, I think a lot of people will support Patrice Motsepe. You know, it's about time we get somebody who doesn't have scandals, who doesn't have issues, who is well known internationally, and a person who is capable to manage companies, hoping that he'll manage the country. I think Motsepe will be good for ANC and even for unity of ANC, because these other ones, they're fighting each other too much.
Good morning, Clem. Titi from the north. I guess for presidency, Hosi Enso Ramaphosa. Great show always. Thank you.
Hosi Enso Ramaphosa. Okay. I wonder though if he's got a strong constituency within the ANC, because that's how it works, right? Money and the support on the ground. But in the ANC, as long as you've got money, you can get as many votes as you want. In fact, the Veterans League made proposals at this past NGC that we need to find ways to deal with the issue of vote buying, because that is really how you win in the ANC. It's really sad. So who knows? Who knows who's going to emerge as a strong contender? But you can tell. I mean, there was a time when songs were being sung. Who were they singing about? I think they may have been singing about Figile. Balula, were they? The Secretary General of the ANC. And then Gwede Mantashe was trying to tell the delegates, just calm down. Shh. Settle down. And they were not listening. They continued to sing for a couple of more minutes. So yeah, campaigns are firmly on, my friends. In the new year, you're probably going to see it clearer and clearer. I mean, Umam Togo is already singing about Ayabiza Makwama Elam Likhona. It's 9:30. Time for the latest in Eyewitness News headlines. Viso, hi.
Thanks, Clement. Good morning. Public Works Minister Dean McPherson says his department is working closely with the Special Investigating Unit to clamp down on corruption, which includes lifestyle audits for senior management. A second phase of audits, which began in March this year, intends to cover 400 officials, mostly those who work with tenders and projects, and should be completed in the next 2 years. The ANC has asked SACP members to recuse themselves from its election strategy meetings while the two organizations seek a resolution to their impasse. The relationship between the alliance partners has heightened following the SACP's decision to contest elections alone and no longer under the banner of the ANC. The future of the alliance was on one of the major talking points at the ANC's National General Council, which wrapped up yesterday. And United Nations officials will meet with Sudan's warring parties in Geneva. Secretary General Antonio Guterres confirmed the meeting in Saudi broadcaster Al Arabiya in Riyadh without disclosing a date for the discussions. Those are the headlines. This EWN and more at 10 or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
Traveling on the N1 South, we've got an accident reported. It's right near Winnie Mandela Drive. It's causing delays between Winnie Mandela Drive and Malibongwe Drive. Speaking of Malibongwe Drive, we've got delays between Oliver Node Avenue and the N1 exit. Roadworks are causing these delays, so please be on the lookout there and drive with care. Traveling on the M1 South, we've got a stop-and-go situation between the Greyston Drive off-ramp and the Killarney Bends. There's also slow-moving traffic along the N12 as well as the R24 west between Edenville Road and the Gululis interchange due to road works. And then we've got another accident reported. This one is along Linksfield Road rather. It's right near the N3 and it's causing slow moving traffic. More updates coming up. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online and on the EWN app.
Your voice.
Your station.
Your open line.
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
9:33. This is the 702 open line. Let's continue with your calls on 011-883-0702. WhatsApp's on 072-702-1702. Before I continue with your calls on WhatsApp, did you see the debate that's been going on over the last couple of days? Helen Ziller sparked some controversy by labeling the Hermes backing bags ugly, insane and obscene. And I hope I'm pronouncing Hermes backing correct, because initially I thought, is it Hermes? Is it Hermes? But I'm told it's Hermes. Now, what Helen said happened after a video of, remember that video that was doing the rounds? You may have seen it on social media, of the former Ekurhuleni city manager, Dr. Imogen Mashazi, showcasing the luxury bag, in fact, the clothes that she was wearing. So in that video, Mashazi lists the luxury items she has on, including this Hermes bag. In fact, for some of you that may have missed it, take a listen. She was attending an event and someone pulled up a video and started taking a video of her explaining what she's wearing. Listen.
My name is Imogen.
Nice to meet you, Imogen.
My name is Manya. I'm French Moroccan and I live in Dubai.
Nice to meet you. So tell me, you look elegant. What are you wearing?
I'll start with my earrings. My earrings are from Bulgaria. Nice. And the necklace as well is from Bulgaria. And the bracelet is a Bulgari, same set. And then the watch is AP 2025.
That's cool.
Eyes. And my dress is Dolce & Gabbana. My handbag is Katie Crop, orange. And my shoes, obviously, is Hermes.
That's nice. So what are you wearing?
So for me, I'm wearing a designer dress.
So, okay, we don't care about the other lady. We don't know her. Do you hear that? So, a dress, Dolce, is it Dolce and Gabbana or Dolce and Gabbana? That dress, in fact, the Sunday Times, I remember they had like an entire estimation of how much what she mentioned costs. So the Dolce and Gabbana dress is about 53,000 rand, according to this timeline and estimations by the Sunday Times newspaper. And the necklace is Bulgari. That's about 840,000 rand. The bracelet, Bulgari, 672,000 rand. The watch is about 1.2 million rand. And then the bag is 680,000 rand. The shoes are 14,000 rand. That time, kitty sandals. Kitty sandals. It's all got, 85 rand. 14,000 rand. In total, on her, according to this estimation, is 3.5 million rand. So that's just the context I wanted to give you. Now, Helen Zille then was like, this is crazy. So then she questioned the display of such wealth in South Africa, where economic inequality is so stark. And she stated that nobody should flaunt luxury wealth like that, especially in a country like South Africa. And I'm wondering are you someone who judges people who are fleshy with their possessions? Like, why do we shame people who choose to be fleshy? Like, there are people who genuinely just like Dolce and Gabbana. There are people who will get a Birkin bag. But I think as a society, and Helen's point is not in a country like South Africa. Maybe when you're in LA, when you're in London, you can live like that and wear expensive clothes, wear these bags that you can tell from the label they're so expensive, but not in South Africa. But we're not homogenous. We are different people, different classes in South Africa, like in many societies. So why do we want to subject even our own moral standards and expectations to other people? There are people who will want to wear Burberry from top to bottom. Whether you find that to be, tacky or uncouth or unclassy, fine. But to somebody else, for them, that may be, this is how I show up. So the question I'm asking is, why do we as a society often shame people? One, do you agree with Helen? That's the first question. That in a country like ours, with the highest levels of inequalities, with all the challenges we face, you cannot be flaunting luxury like that. But also, who says somebody's flaunting it just because they're wearing a Dolce & Gabbana or because they're wearing a bag or a watch that costs 1.2 million rand? So I want to know if you agree with Helen Zille, but I'm also asking, like, are you someone who judges people who are fleshy with their possessions, and why? And it's not just about cars. Yeah. Some people will question the car you drive. Why would this person drive that car? At some point, we even judge people and say, yeah, but this person doesn't even have, a property that they own, and yet they're driving a Porsche. Where do you enter? Ungenapi. It's not your money. What if someone appreciates a Porsche than actually spending money investing in property? Or someone chooses to live in a flashy, fancy house, but they're going to go drive, what you would consider as a cheap car. I think we're so quick always to judge other people. And if you're one of those people who do appreciate luxury, let me know how you navigate that in a society that is consistently trying to justify where your wealth comes from. Because we're quick to say, who buys shoes that are worth 80,000 rand? It must mean that this money is from these are tenderpreneurs, or no, this money must come from somewhere illegitimate. Are you the type of person that would go and spend a lot of money on a particular item? Yeah? And why is that for you? Is it your appreciation of luxury? And how do you navigate that when other people start talking about you? Let's talk. It's 20 minutes before 10.
Africa Milani.
Weekday mornings,
4 to 6.
The votes are coming in. Moss in Pretoria, Morning Africa. Whitney all the way, brother. Zuki saying, I'm voting Dolly only because Whitney's version gets played way more. I love them both. Let's take one or two voice notes.
I think Whitney Houston is the best.
Yo, Africa, this song, the Whitney Houston version, that was the last song I played for my son when the coffin went down and I almost fell in the hole. And I said to him, I will always love you.
Africa Milani.
4 to 6 on 702.
Mzansi, walala wasala. Panda Pusha play Powerball for the massive 83 million rand guaranteed jackpot this Friday and step closer to a world of endless possibilities. Get your lucky numbers ready and play Powerball for the guaranteed 83 million rand jackpot today. Buy your tickets now in store on nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app, cell phone banking, or simply dial *120 *7529# for USSD. Panda Pusha play. Players must be 18 years old or play responsibly. eTuba is a proud operator of the National Lottery.
At Checkers, we do more so you get extra this Christmas with festive savings like Dairy Made Country Fresh Ice Cream, 1.8 litres for $54.99 and Parmalat Cheddar or Gouda Cheese, 850 grams for $109.99. Plus, stand a chance to win your share of 7 million rand in prizes. Simply buy any 3 qualifying products and swipe your extra savings card to enter. Valid until Sunday at Checkers, Checkers Hyper or shop on 6060. T&Cs apply.
Ask yourself, what matters most? Is it being there for their first steps and still around for their first dance? Knowing you're not just covered, but cared for. Bonitas goes beyond benefits and claims. We're in your corner for what matters most. Bonitas, medical aid for South Africa. Voted #1 medical aid in the Ask Africa Orange Index Awards for the 2nd year running. Visit bonitas.co.za and find your plan.
Start your summer days with healthy sleep from Dial-A-Bed and save thousands with our summer sleep savers. Our queen-size 40-wing Sleep Tribe Pro foam set is reduced to only $7,999, and our Sealy Skyline Extra Firm Queen set is now only $13,499. Or get a king size for just $17,999. Dial-A-Bed, sleep for life. Now reopen in the Park Meadow Centre opposite Eastgate Mall.
Your voice,
Your station.
your open line.
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela.
On 702.
18 before 10. Kenneth, you're in Kramerville. What are your thoughts? Good morning.
Yeah, Clement and your listeners. So,
Sure.
I mean, ordinarily, I wouldn't judge anyone for flaunting their wealth and all of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But again, if you look at people like Imogen Mshazi, I look at the lady and I don't think that she brings any substance anywhere. And again, if you look at her previous position at the city of Ekurhuleni, I think it deserves some kind of scrutiny in terms of how much she earned and how she was able to accumulate those kind of things that she's showing off. Because she was a public official. So her being a public official, it deserves people to ask questions in terms of...
And there's no way with her salary as city manager then she was able to afford this.
Absolutely. And if she owned a business that allows her to have a lot of money to buy those kind of things, it's the kind of information that the public needs to know about. So you ask yourself, where is the South African Revenue Service when she's doing this kind of things? The city of Ekurhuleni, I think they would have some answers to satisfy the public with because of the kind of lifestyle that she lives beyond her retirement and all of that. Because we are looking at affordability, given her previous employment and all of that. Because you see, we all live in South Africa. These public servants earn almost the same salaries that we all earn, and we are all going through a lot in this economy.
Hence,
so
lifestyle audits are so important, Kenneth. That's
absolutely.
why there are people even in the Gauteng government that Premier Lesofie had to suspend because they failed lifestyle audits. They just can't simply explain some of the monies that are in their accounts and how they're getting the money. But Kenneth, I mean, she could be married to someone who affords these things, or maybe someone who's got a business. But I agree with you. We need some sort of explanation because you are a public official, and we know how greedy our public officials are.
Absolutely.
Some of them.
And you know, sometimes, Clement, let me just make this point. I don't really agree with how we look at the methodology of lifestyle audits because some of these politicians, they take kickbacks. You know, these things we know how Woolies bags are delivering millions and all of that. So that's why I don't agree. I don't agree that lifestyle audits are the best to be able to find these people, but it leads somewhere.
Yeah, not true. Kenneth in Kramerville, thank you so much for your thoughts. Bonolo, you are in the Johannesburg CBD. What do you think?
Clement, I actually agree with Helen with regard to flaunting wealth to this level in a sea of poverty because I'm just taking it back to African culture. We speak about villages and looking after each other. That's just the African spirit. I mean, so when you have people that are, I'm not saying don't buy it, but I mean the flaunting of it, it does leave a bit of a
How do we define flaunting though, Bonolo? So if I'm wearing Gucci from top to bottom, is that flaunting?
No, not necessarily, I must say. I mean, the people that actually will go out of their way to make to push so that you know what they're wearing.
Mm-hmm.
Whether they're pouring a bottle of sparkling wine into their shoe at a joint or something like that.
Is Kotani.
You know what I'm saying? And then your other question, I do. You asked if you find it distasteful when people are like wearing these things. For me, I actually kind of do, because I think brands over time in fashion have gone from telling stories and standing for something and being emotive to their customers to rather being sausage factories to sell as many T-shirts with the monogram as much as possible. So I think there are a few brands in the fashion space that are left that are really staying true to that tradition and really crafting messages and stories so that when you look at it, you're like, oh my goodness, there's something in you that moves when you look at it. And the fact that they make some of their customers wait outside their stores in a queue as if they're entering a club is also another thing altogether.
Well, unless you've made an appointment, Bonolo, I guess. Because you come and they come escort you in because they know you're going to spend about R500,000 or whatever the case is. Bonolo, thank you for your thoughts. Let's hear what the other listeners think. And look, I don't think, even Bonolo says, I don't have a problem with people who buy those things, but it's the flaunting that becomes an issue. But I think we do need to ask, why do we then judge other people who they can afford it? The fact that you and I maybe can't doesn't mean that people who can shouldn't be able to buy that. In fact, now you actually see a lot of quiet luxury where someone could be wearing, trousers or shoes that costs 80,000 Rand or 300,000 Rand, but you won't really know because the name of the brand is not plastered everywhere and bedazzled on every, side of the shoe. Quite luxury. But there are people who do want you to see that, look, I'm wearing this label. This is a Birkin bag. And I'm saying, let's be honest, there are some of you listening right now. That's what you like. And I'm saying, it's okay. I just want to hear, what is it about these expensive brands that tickles you, that really makes you go? Because I know for men, I'll speak for men, because I do have some friends who will wear an expensive watch because for them, that is a form of investment, for instance. Or they'll have a neck piece because it's a form of investment. But if you like that, is it the name? Is it the story behind the brand? What is it? No judgment. It's 11 minutes before 10.
702 Afternoons
with Relebohile Maboja, 1 to 3 p.m.
So based on what you have shared, how would a person know that they need to cleanse, or is it something that they just would do regularly?
Generally, to cleanse is something that you should do to keep yourself spiritually hygienic. It's part of your spiritual routine. But most people will know that they need to cleanse by them feeling a little bit heavy, a little bit depressed. When you're a positive person, you'll be able to tell that, it's a little bit more difficult for me now. You're compounded by negative circumstances for a consistent amount of time. That's when people start realizing that, no, something's changed.
Zandile Wamafu, spiritually known as Thando Lwakho, who is a spiritual healer.
702 Afternoons
with Relebohile Maboja.
Let's walk the talk.
This festive, when your family gathers, feed them the Nando's Festive Fill-Up meal. Feed Auntie, who's in charge of the key to that storeroom. And feed that niece that makes the strict grandparents do TikTok challenges. And that cousin that watches the same movie that comes in part 1, 2, 3, 4, and many more. Yeah, you can feed it too. Gather them all for the Nando's Festive Fill-Up meal for only $3.99. Eat at Nando's and pay 40 Rand less. Nando's, oh, what a place.
Join the summer spectacle of speed with Hollywood Bets. Take the reins with the sizzling summer competition. Bet 50 Rand or more on horse racing for a chance to win a share of 1 million Rand in prizes. This includes one of 8 all expenses paid VIP experiences to the 2026 WSB Cape Met. Saddle up and bet now for a chance to claim flaming fortunes at the finish line. T's and C's apply. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counselling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp HELP to 076 675 0710.
The pain of losing a loved one is never easy. It will leave you feeling overwhelmed. At Clientele, we understand that burying loved ones with dignity truly matters. Our funeral plans pay out cash within just 24 hours, and you receive 200 Rand airtime when you claim to make those important calls. Plus, we cover up to 13 people on one plan. SMS funeral to 31586. That's 31586. Clientele Life is an authorized FSP and licensed life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
Your voice.
Your station.
Your open line.
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
8 minutes before 10.
Morning, Clement. It's fine for people to dress nicely and wear expensive clothing in their private capacity. However, people that represent the community of South Africa and are in the political environment, I think it's very sad, as we know how the inequality is in South Africa. And yeah, that's just smacks of not caring about the people.
Clement, this is Tasha. I'm an Ekurhuleni resident. I don't care what she wears. My problem is with the fact that we recently were told that if we have an area outage on power, Ekurhuleni reserves the right to take up to 14 days to resolve the problem. There's areas here, Kate Carrera will tell you, he was on your show last week, he will tell you there's some places here that haven't had power for 21 days. For our ex-city manager to walk around with a pair of Dolce & Gabbana, Bulgari this and Hermes that, really? Shouldn't she rather be spending the money on keeping the taxpayers happy? Really?
Clement, hope you're well with the listeners. Myself, I do agree with Helen and I do disagree with her. If someone can afford any label and be comfortable without going into any pressure and they feel they love it, life is too short, let them enjoy it. But one thing that I don't appreciate is you enjoy it, you flaunt around and do all sorts of things. And one day you come and tell me that, can you borrow so much money, you want to do that? That's when it kicks in. That's when it will kick in for me to charge. Thank you.
Hi, Clement. It's Mike here from Ivory Park. For me, it's not a problem as long as the money is not ill-gotten. So you can wear whatever you want, you can live where you want, you can drive whatever car you want. So for me, it's not a problem. But when the problem starts when the money was acquired through corruption or theft, yeah, that's the problem for me. Thanks, Clement.
Tulani, you calling us from Centurion. Good morning.
Hey, morning, Clem. I was also going to make a similar comment. I don't have a problem with her wearing all of those expensive clothes if she can afford them, and if she flaunts them, all good and well for her. My problem is I do not think any person on a salary can afford those things. I just don't think so. I could be proven wrong, but I simply do not think anybody can afford to wear over 3 million rands worth of items at any given go on a salary of whatever nature. So to that extent, I think it is probably maybe, it should be considered to investigate this whole thing. The other thing that I wanted to comment on, Clem, very, very quickly, I am very concerned about the panel that was interviewing this NPA, or rather the prosecution board yesterday. I do not think you could put together a panel to interview people that are going to be, or for a position that is so crucial in this country, and you do not put anyone in the panel with even the tiniest of expertise in law or in anything similar. I think it's a bit of a problem for me. And the kind of questions that were asked there, for me, I just don't think they're worthy of the position that is being considered in those interviews. Thank you very much.
What would have made experts, though, Thulani, because there are some advocates there. I mentioned one yesterday. So are you saying that these are people that are not sufficiently experienced?
Yeah, I would go with sufficiently experienced, Clem. I would have wanted somebody from prosecution. I would have wanted a Clemens Brettenbach, for example, who has been in the NPA, who knows the ins and outs of that particular institution. I am an advocate myself. I'm a lawyer myself, but I will not possibly have the requisite experience and expertise to understand how the NPA actually works. So I would have wanted somebody that has got intimate knowledge of the NPA and who would have asked the relevant questions that would have assisted in determining and deciphering whether or not somebody is adequately.
Yeah, and I suppose what would have worked is bringing a former head of the NPA, but
absolutely,
where are you going to find one? Do you go to Nkasana? Do you go to Sean Abrahams? Like, who do you even go to? Because a lot of them have. Yeah, it wasn't looking good. They didn't finish their attempts for a reason.
I wouldn't go to Abrams.
Chiladin Centurion, thanks for your call.
Hi, Clement. I think it is wrong to judge people based on how they spend their money, because most of the time we will judge people for flaunting, but we do not judge people who hide their wealth. That is almost always ill-begotten. They hide and criticize, like Helen Zille probably does.
Hi, Clement and 702 lenders. Clement, there's a saying, you must be able to read the mood in the room. Yes, it's very wrong to flaunt among poverty. You can't be going to the township, driving your Lamborghini, while you know very well that those people living there, they're in the dusty streets, they can't even afford the basics or the entry-level car. It's very wrong, my brother. Moral compass matters. Anonymous.
There's a new way to experience all your favorites. Pulse Africa, the 24/7 fast channel, now live on PrimeMediaPlus.com and the Prime Media Plus app, bringing you the best of Prime Media around the clock. Watch the biggest moments from 702. It's non-stop entertainment and authentic African storytelling, all from Africa's leading media network. Pulse Africa, only on the PrimeMediaPlus.com and Prime Media Plus app.
Business Outsurance are experts in business insurance for general practitioners, dentists, surgeons, and other medical specialists. Kuveni.
It's so nice to know the business risk is taken care of by Business Outsurance. The call center is just a dream to deal with. Very seamless, easy experience, and it just feels like the people we're talking to on the other line understand our needs.
Switch to Business Outsurance and you could get a massive 20% discount on your business insurance premium. Visit outsurance.co.za. Switch and save today. Licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
Last December, you put in new floors. Come New Year's, your visitors were out the door. And the new floor went from fresh tiles to don't step on a crack or you'll break umama's back. Now, abantu bazotini when they see the kids playing the Squid Game's hopscotch on those same cracked tiles from last year. Avoid the embarrassment this festive. Make smarter decisions for your home. Visit Cash Build for quality tiles, adhesive and tools at the lowest prices. Cash Bill.
LLB graduates can fast-track their legal career with the Law Society of South Africa's PVT School for Legal Practice. LPC accredited, this 4-month practice-ready course, which is taught by practicing lawyers, can reduce your PVT contract by 12 months for admission. Study by day, after hours, or via distance at campuses nationwide. The first 2026 intake runs from January to April. Applications close 31 October 2025. Apply now at lssalead.org.za. That's lssalead.org.za.
It's 10 o'clock, time for the news, and this Eyewitness News is brought to you by Vouch. Hassle-free insurance is possible with your Vouch advisor. Vouch SA is an authorized financial services provider. T's and C's apply.
This is EWN.
Good morning, I'm Sfiso Zulu. Public Works Minister Dean McPherson says his department is working closely with the Special Investigating Unit to clamp down on corruption, which includes lifestyle audits for senior management. A second phase of the audits, which began in March this year, intends to cover 400 officials, mostly those who work with tenders and projects, and should be completed in the next 2 years. Briefing the media at Parliament about progress made in his department over the last year, McPherson says officials who have refused to cooperate can expect to face consequences. Lindsay Dentlinker has more.
Minister Dean McPherson says he's expecting the first report on the latest round of audits to be handed to him later this month.
While most officials have complied, a small number have either delayed submissions or failed to cooperate, and the department will now act on non-compliance once the SIU findings are complete.
Director General of the department, Sifiso Mdekane, has confirmed that he is among 48 executives who have already undergone a lifestyle audit in the first round.
So this particular aspect, I think I must indicate, it's actually very costly, Minister. However, it's something that we need to actually ensure that it's done.
At the same time, the department is also looking to weed out ghost employees. An official in its head office who received 340,000 rand between April and August this year without rendering a service to the department has been suspended and criminal action is looming. The final audit across all regions is due to be completed by the end of March next year. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News.
The ANC has asked SACP members to recuse themselves from its election strategy meetings while the two organizations seek a resolution to their impasse. The relationship between the alliance partners has heightened following the SACP's decision to contest elections alone and no longer under the ANC banner. The future of the alliance was one of the major talking points at the ANC's National General Council meeting, which wrapped up yesterday. Thabiso Goba was there.
In June this year, the ANC's first Deputy Secretary General, Nomvula Mokonyane, made waves when she kicked out SACP members from an election strategy meeting in Mpumalanga. At the time, there wasn't a policy from either the ANC or the SACP on how to confront this new reality of being political rivals in the ballot paper. However, in his closing speech yesterday, ANC President Cyril Ramaphosa says the party still remains committed to the reconfiguration of the alliance.
However, as we continue to persuade each other, and the important word that we should underline is as we continue to persuade each other, we will need to request SACP members who have been participating in our joint election structures to recuse themselves.
So far, the ANC and the SACP are yet to resolve on a new policy regarding the dual membership between the two organizations. Thabiso Goba, Eyewitness News.
The Pretoria High Court has sentenced a man to 3 life sentences for raping his nieces. The 47-year-old man from Mamelodi was arrested in 2022 after sexually assaulting the children aged between 6 and 9. Jabuli Lembata reports.
The 47-year-old man would visit the victims in their homes in Mamelodi, where they stayed with their uncle and 2 older siblings. The Pretoria High Court heard how he would wait for everyone to go to sleep, then fetch the girls from their bedroom and proceed to rape them in the living room. An educational outreach program on sexual offences in 2022 led them to reporting the incident, leading to the man's arrest. Handing down judgment, the judge said he is a very cruel man and that there are no compelling circumstances to deviate from the prescribed minimum sentences. Jabuli Lembata, Eyewitness News.
And a tribunal set up to confront an ongoing women's rights crisis in Afghanistan has ruled there's evidence of a systemic denial of women's rights in the country. The tribunal, convened by a coalition of Afghan civil society organizations and the Permanent People's Tribunal, presented its findings at The Hague yesterday. The outcome follows a 3-day tribunal in Madrid where women presented testimonies to challenge the Taliban and international community to uphold women's rights. Carlo Peterson has more.
The People's Tribunal has ruled there's clear evidence of institutionalized discrimination against women and girls in Afghanistan. The tribunal ruled the evidence shows a basic denial of fundamental human rights. International women's rights activist Malala Yousafzai says the judgment is a major step forward.
I have talked to so many Afghan women activists, to Afghan girls who are not giving up on fighting for their rights. It is a recognition that the Taliban's treatment of women and girls is a crime, and it is a system that resembles gender apartheid.
Yusuf Zai called on the world's leaders to hold the Taliban accountable and uphold women's rights in Afghanistan. Carlo Peterson, Eyewitness News.
Gold is trading at $4,287.79 an ounce. The rand is at 16.83 to the dollar, 22.53 to the pound, 19.75 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $61.55 a barrel.
And in the traffic, we've got delays on the N1 South between Rivonia Road and Malibongwe drivers due to that major accident that happened right after Winnie Mandela Drive. While traveling on Malibongwe Drive, traffic remains heavily backed up between Oliver Bosch and Avenue and the N1 exit.
A partly cloudy Friday in store for Gauteng with afternoon showers and thunder showers expected. The temperatures will peak at highs between 25 and 27 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour. Public Works Minister Dean McPherson says his department is working closely with the SIU to clamp down on corruption, which includes lifestyle audits for senior management.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
Let's be honest, no one actually reads the fine print. Those exclusions and clauses, clever wording that sounds helpful but isn't. And that's the thing with insurance. Everyone thinks they can do it themselves until boom, something goes wrong. That's where Vouch pulls through. Real advice, real people who actually know what repudiation means. Being smart isn't about knowing everything, it's about knowing who to ask.
Vouch, someone on the inside, on your side. Vouch SA is an authorized financial services provider. T's and C's apply.
You're with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
Let's walk the talk. Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856,
92.7 and 106 FM.
Minutes after 10 o'clock. Dumelang, welcome to the second hour of the Clement Manyathela Show. Thank you for staying with us here on 702, and thank you for your calls, your WhatsApps, all of your contributions on the 702 open line. It's time now for our Across the Desk feature.
Across the Desk
with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
So today on our Across the Desk feature, I am hosting private investigators. And I'd like to know if you've ever hired a private investigator, if you've ever used the services of a private investigator, and what was it for? Do you ever wonder what their job actually entails? That's what I want us to find out. I've got two that I've invited to join us this morning. Armand Trollip, who's the director at Quest Investigation Agency, here in studio with us. Armand, thank you so much for coming through. Good morning.
Pleasure, Clement. Good morning, everyone, and good morning to the 702 listeners.
We also have Chris Breed, who is the director of SSI Consultants. Chris, thank you so much for also making time. Good morning.
Morning, Clement. Thank you so much. Appreciate. Thank you for the listeners that we're going to be informative on this program. Thank you.
We want to find out about the work that you guys do, and I always want to start at the beginning. Have you always been involved in security, the police? What's your background, Armand, and how did you get to be a private investigator?
Clement, obviously, if you're in this industry, you need to have a bit of background.
Mm-hmm.
So I started my journey in the South African Police Services, based in Soweto. So that was a very nice learning curve for us.
Mm-hmm.
Went to the banking industry, investigating fraud matters, and then I started my own business 36 years ago.
Oh, it's been 36 years?
36, broer.
Jeez. All right, Chris, and how about you? How did you start? And what made you find interest in being a private investigator?
Clement, my brother, I was a former military intelligence operative in old dispensation. And at the time I thought, look, I need to obviously pursue new avenues, new directions, thinking and anticipating what I would do in due course in future. I then applied at a firm, a private investigator firm at that time in 93, the beginning of 93. Those years, there were very few of them, even though they were authentic and well trained. I then applied for a position there, and I got a position. I actually worked for them for 3 years and a half. And then I started my own business in 95. SSI Consultants, established in 95, as depicted on Google.
Okay. What kind of cases do you investigate, Armand? Like, what are the the most common ones that your company investigates?
Okay. Clement, we had to deviate in 2015 and opening up my sister company as well. But we conduct a lot of corporate work out of Quest.
Mm-hmm.
That will entail fraud investigations, theft, polygraphing, investigating guys that commit, internal or external fraudulent stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously we, in the corporate fields, we also help the guys to do screening of staff and make sure that they hire the right people. So yes, corporate is quite vast because of the policies and integrities we need to keep with them.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, it's quite a vast majority that we will assist a client from whatever his issues or problems are, from the interview base, handling the investigation, gathering information lawfully, obviously, and then putting reports together and assist them with criminal matters that we need to, from time to time, open with the South African Police Services and make sure that we assist them as well to get the culprits brought to book. And then obviously we'll see it through until we get to the court dates and court appearances that we then obviously have to sit in and attend.
Mm-hmm. There's a card I have here, though, of your card. Cheating spouses, we can help. And it's got all your contact details here. So is that what you do as well?
I'll refer to our sister company that I had to deviate in 2015 because we also do and conduct matrimonial matters. So the reason why I gave you the card is to show you, Uya Jola 99. I'm the white version.
A white version of Uya Jola 99. Is it a big... Okay, we'll talk about this later because I wonder 100%. how busy you guys get with this kind of stuff. How about you, Chris? What kind of stuff do you guys investigate at SSI Consultants?
Okay, I'm going to go one ahead a bit. We're primarily criminal investigators.
Yeah.
Because of the criminal situation in our country. But you go back in the early 90s when I started off, we mainly started off with domestic matters, matrimonials, infidelity. And you'll see also on our website is a depiction of one of our domestic cheating spouse billboards back in 97 with a subsequent article in the Soweto newspaper of SSI Consultants back then. But the criminal investigations, mainly extortion, blackmail, kidnappings, planned, coerced kidnappings. We deal with criminals and we obviously... Our approach is very harsh and rigid when we approach these criminal elements and individuals once they've been identified. But mainly criminal matters, a lot of scams. A lot of people get scammed. You would purchase a vehicle under the false pretext that it's on a auction website and you assume that it's authentic,
Mm.
and then you realize later that it's not, that you've been scammed, you paid 100,000 rand, and you end up calling us because you need assistance.
Yeah.
We help you in an instant.
Why do people then would come to you for something like that as opposed to go to the SAPS? Does this show the lack of confidence more and more people have in the system, that they, especially those, of course, with resources, because they've got to pay you guys and they feel I've got better chances of going to Armand Trollip than with the SAPS?
Clement, yes, it's, I don't want to step on toes here. We've got a government and the authorities that assist us, and we assist them. The problem that we sit with is that, authorities won't have enough resources to complete and do what needs to get done. Although there is divisions in the South African Police Service that attend and help us quite a bit. So yes, why will clients come to us? We've obviously got the resources and we get the information lawfully, just to add that. And we're very ethical and professional when it comes to investigations like that. The issue is at hand that although the client is going to pay, he knows that he's going to get results. In our industry, there's companies, and I just want to say this to the listeners, is that make sure that you deal with reputable private investigating companies like myself and SSI. Make sure that you set up a face-to-face meeting at office. Don't do coffee shops, or sometimes we hear people see private investigators in cars. So make sure that you use a reputable company and they will assist you for sure. We are a handful of guys in the country, but I can tell you, I don't want to step on toes, but we have the resources. We will help a client to get through to, if we have to open up criminal cases. The problem that clients and listeners sit with is that they do approach a police station. The guys in the charge office are probably not trained properly, and I think they will sometimes see it as a civil matter instead of a criminal matter, but the criminal intent is there to get defrauded and the money being taken. So we assist them then to open up criminal matters.
And be clear about what can be investigated and okay.
Exactly.
So how do you work, Chris, with the SAPS? How's that relationship like? Like, once you've done the investigations as private investigators, can you then tell the client, here's the evidence, you go open a case, or you go with them, assist them? How does it work? How do you then escalate it to the law enforcement agencies, if at all?
Yeah, Clement, we're very fortunate because of our name out there and our contacts, and people know that we're authentic in a legitimate industry, that we know people higher up at the Hawks, DPCI, authorities, crime intelligence, that we can then contact and say, we've got this matter, can you please assist, even though we have finalized our provisional investigation, confirmed the set individuals, criminal elements, and that we would want to take it through to the respective police station or the appointed police station, and then engage with the appointed investigating officer, that if we do not get on or get moving forward, that they can certainly assist us, and then ultimately that we can guarantee the client that they get ultimate result in concluding the matter.
Okay.
Yes? Maybe I can add there, Clement. Chris, I think what we also find in the industry, once we have a client and we've investigated and we've helped them and we gathered all the evidence needed, we will assist them, Clement, to open a case at the South African Police Service and make sure that, like we did this week, we were in KZN with fraud matters, 36 matters that we registered with police stations in KZN. And we met the, colonels in charge of the police station, head of the police station, have a discussion with him so that we make sure that we get the cases registered. So the same with the investigation, Chris. once you have the evidence and you go to the South African Police Service, we have a good relationship with the guys. So we'll take it as far as we need to go to make sure that the client will be helped, criminal matter will be opened and investigated. We make sure, and I'm sure Chris does as well, we make contact with the investigating officer. We'll have a meeting, we'll discuss the matter, and we'll debrief him on everything that we've done so that he's got a clear vision. And then we can also further assist in the investigation as well.
Okay.
We need it.
You mentioned earlier, Aman, that sometimes it's companies that say they want to, interview people and they want to onboard someone. Do you have instances where companies come and say, okay, Clement has applied to be on the job and we like him, but we want to make sure he's clean?
If it's Clement, then I'm going to rather tell the people, no, don't. He's good at being a presenter, but that's Clement, just to answer you there. So, yes, obviously, we assist our corporate clients. We've got corporate clients on a retainer basis, very entry-level retainer, but we assist in screening people. If we finalized, out of the 10, they've got 3 possible candidates, we will have interviews with them. We'll get the consent. We'll get them to sign the consent, and we do a criminal check. I've got the software and hardware to do it on site. And within 48 hours, we'll know if he's got a criminal record. And then obviously with him signing the consent forms, we will then also do a credit check. And we can give a due diligence document report back to clients saying, this is a good candidate, and the next one is maybe not so good.
Okay. Can the job get dangerous? Does it get dangerous?
Clement, I had a chat with Armand just before our meeting now, our interviews. Yes, most definitely. Most definitely. I have had death threats. But I think my experience where I come from and what I've learned and what I've challenged in life, I'm not afraid of anything. And you learn it every day because you get taught from the one case to the next case, how to then attend to that. But yes, most definitely, one initiate preventative measures in order to know that do your due diligence on the said subject, well, not a subject in this case, the criminal suspect, that you know who you're dealing with, that you might be apprehended, get a call, say if I do a case that I finalized and I had arrested the suspect and subsequent prosecution in the said court of law, and then say a family member would come forward or surface in some devious intent way, then to try and undermine me or take me on. So, look, most definitely preventative measures. I think the character that I have in myself, that I can definitely adapt to that.
Yeah. 011-883-0702. I'm hosting private investigators on our Across the Desk feature this morning, finding out about what their work entails. If you've got any question for them, maybe you have hired a private investigator before, just share your experience with us. What did you hire them for? And maybe as a corporation, you deal a lot with private investigation companies. How involved do they get in your operations or when you do interview processes? 011-883-0702. Send your WhatsApps as well on 072-702-1702. I want to ask now about, back to this chat, Armand, cheating spouses. Do you normally have, is it more spouses who come and say, I suspect that my husband or my wife or my partner is cheating and I want you to just, find out some more information about it? And when you do, what is the process? Do you say to them, okay, it is true, this is the case, or how does it work?
Okay, let me start off by saying, this is reality. It happens in South Africa. And I'm going to give you a bit of background how it works and what we do and what we say to clients. It's always an emotional ride, Clement. And my first question, probably when I have a meet-up with a client in my boardroom, I will ask if there's children involved. Sometimes it's not nice and it's ugly, and the children's are the last guys that gets hurt badly. So I try to deviate from that, and we in our company also have counselling support when it gets to that. So I'm going to give you a couple of things quickly if you have time for me.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
At Cheating Spouses, we help clients navigate suspected infidelity with lawful investigations and trauma-informed counselling support. So you can make a clear, confident decision without sacrificing privacy or dignity. What we do is we always discreet. We conduct lawful investigations, and that will entail surveillance, digital evidence where permitted, interviews, recording, and reporting as well. Counselling report delivered in parallel or after investigations via a registered independent professional. For example, we can collaborate with through therapeutic care and neutral grounds with a counsellor. So what we do is we'll have the meetup, we'll discuss what client has. Sometimes our clients walk in there, male or female, and they have already obtained some information. So I'll always guide them through our website, which I will share with you guys later. We have at Cheating Spouses 10 warning signs. I always say to my clients, if you tick one of those boxes, we're in trouble.
What are the warning signs?
Clement, go and have a look on the website. There's 10 of them, but you know what? A couple of common ones is, if your partner is clinging onto his phone, all of a sudden he hits the gym again. Now he dresses up nicely and he smells nice. So there's a couple of warning signs if you see
I
that.
want to see them and read them to the listeners. Okay, what's the name of the website?
Quest Investigations.
Quest Investigations.
.coza.
Okay.
You'll see it on the back of the card as well.
Quest Investigations.coza. All right, I'm going to try and find them. I want to read them to the listeners. Let's go to some WhatsApps that have come through so far on 072 702 1702.
Good day, Clement. Yeah, I've got a question for those gentlemen. My question is, how much do they charge? Maybe a range or something like from 500 or from 1,000 or from 2, that much, or it depends on the case. And then another thing I just want to know, because we've got this human trafficking happening in our country. Do they work on such cases and all this stuff?
Okay, thank you so much for that, and apologies for the quality of that voice note. Please, when you send us voice notes, just switch off the radio so that we, or take down the volume so that we're able to hear what you say. From what I was able to pick up there, he's asking about how much normally you charge, like what is the normal rate, and do you only also investigate issues like human trafficking as well?
Okay, Clement, let me answer you, and it's always a difficult question, and myself and Chris always find us in this position when it comes to costs and funds, and what does a matter cost you to investigate. Always difficult. Depending on the background and the information that we get and obtain from a client, we can guide them accordingly what the process will entail and what the costs will be. So we have a better view after the consultation to then give a client costings. From my side, from Quest Investigation Agency and Cheating Spouses, our costs are the following. A consultation will be $850 to see us and have a discussion with us for an hour. We will then determine what the cost will be going forward. Our investigative hours are 850 Rand an hour if we work on your case.
Okay.
Not from the day you open the matter with us, but when we actually work in your matter. And then there's a travelling fee of 750, I think it is, per kilometre if we have to drive somewhere, etc. And if we conduct surveillance, etc.
Okay.
So that's what I can give the listeners. It's always difficult to say,
it depends on your situation, and you take it from there. And then for you, Chris?
You want to referring to
cost?
Yeah,
the issue of
start of the domestics with the infidelity.
So I'll get you to you can start with the infidelity first. Yeah.
Okay. Clement, what I've learned and which I know very well, engaging with clients, that you have to be so discreet in your approach. Discretion
100%.
is top. Confidentiality at all times.
Mhm.
Because one, you've got to
100%.
take care of your client, because you realize that he or she could be in an emotional state, and you've got to be very sincere in your approach. But yeah, you've got to, if you want to get to the cost implication, can we go ahead with that? Yeah, I'm a bit more expensive than Quest, sorry. But the reason being is my rates are 1.5 an hour, 1,500. This includes the kilometer inclusion of respective of what kilometers. Or
Is that for
you drive.
consultation or for in the
let's start with the
investigation?
consultation. The consultation is also more expensive, it's 1,500 an hour.
Okay.
The surveillance is 1.5 an hour, minimum 4 hours, so that would be 6,000 rand. The reason being is because one, it's not like the old days that it's not viable for us. In other words, for me to pursue a subject in peak hour traffic is not helping, because at times you would have to use a secondary vehicle, a second agent, and you got to be discreet. You cannot just, it's not like the movies that you could just be on, heads on. So you've got to pull off sometimes, back off a bit.
Change cars if you have
Change
to.
cars and all of that. So you look at, also again, as every case is unique with a unique cost implication, you have to look at the dynamics of such an investigation. But with the domestics, that is a standard rate. With the surveillance done, what we then gather through that is either photographic evidence or video footage, whichever comes through, done discreetly at all times.
Okay. So we've got some more WhatsApps and calls coming through. We'll get to them after the latest in Eyewitness News headlines. 10:32, Sfiso, hi.
Thanks, Clement. Good morning. Public Works Minister Dean McPherson says his department is working closely with the Special Investigating Unit to clamp down on corruption, which includes lifestyle audits for senior management. A second phase of audits, which began in March this year, intends to cover 400 officials, mostly those who work with tenders and projects, and should be completed in the next 2 years. The EFF says it will support the upcoming motion of no confidence against KwaZulu-Natal Premier Thami Ntuli. Ntuli, an IFP member, was elected through a coalition made up of the ANC, DA, his party and NFP. But the NFP has since withdrawn from the pact and has now supported the MK party's motion to remove the Premier. And a tribunal set up to confront an ongoing women's rights crisis in Afghanistan has ruled there's evidence of a systemic denial of women's rights in the country. The tribunal, convened by a coalition of Afghan civil society organizations and the Permanent People's Tribunal, presented its findings at The Hague yesterday. Those are the headlines. This EWN and more at 11 or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
Traveling on the N1 South, we still have got delays between Rivonia Road and Winnie Mandela Drive due to an earlier accident in the Bryanston area. Please be on the lookout there. While traveling on the Mark 1 South, queuing traffic between Grayston Drive and Halton Drive. There's also still moving traffic along the N3 North between Van Buren Road and the Kilulis interchange. Traffic is also backed up on the N12 as well as the R24 West between Edenville Road and the Kilulis interchange. If you are traveling in the city of Tshwane, do expect some delays on the N14 South. An accident has been reported along this route. It's right after Jean Avenue. It's causing delays. Please approach with care. More updates at the top of the hour. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Crazy stores, got deals galore, and everything you need. From tinsel presents, wrapping, and a star for your Christmas tree. We've got all sorts, games and sports, many toys to buy. Stationery, arts and crafts, come on and don't be shy. No need to panic shop, we're your one-stop Christmas spot. Your table will be dressed, and you will not be stressed. When Christmas Eve is here, you'll want to sing and cheer. I got everything at the Crazy Store, and I can't wait for next year.
Hey, you never know what you might find this Christmas.
End the year on a high with instant payment. How, you ask? Sell it to WeBuyCars. Simply complete the form on webuycars.co.za and there you have it, a great offer within minutes. Ready to take it further, sealing the deal with your dream ride? Explore over 12,000 vehicles on webuycars.co.za. Easy, right? With WeBuyCars, it always is.
Some numbers bring instant stress, like a speeding fine, another petrol price hike, Or that one debit order you forgot about. Again. But not all numbers bring panic. Some bring calm and actual life-saving support. With 24/7 emergency support and over 300 ambulances, ER24 is there when you need us most. Don't wait for an emergency. See it, say it, save it. 084 124.
Start your summer days with healthy sleep from Dial-A-Bed and save thousands with our summer sleep savers. Our queen-size 40-wing Sleep Tribe Pro foam set is reduced to only $7,999, and our Sealy Skyline Extra Firm Queen set is now only $13,499. Or get a king size for just $17,999. Dial-A-Bed, sleep for life. Now reopened in the Park Meadow Centre opposite Eastgate Mall.
The Money Show.
Weekday evenings at 6.
The sectors that will create jobs, are we seeing more confidence there?
If you look at manufacturing and you look at a medium-term trend and you see the increases that we see in manufacturing, in construction, the volumes of retail sales, there's not much of a movement there actually away from the longer-term trend that wasn't very good. So that is a challenge that we're actually facing.
Richard Downing, the economist who compiles the Business Confidence Index for the SA Chamber of Commerce and Industry.
The Money Show
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
The Money Show, Stephen Curtis, is brought to you by ABSA CIB. Invested in your story because your story matters. ABSA is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider.
Across the desk
with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
24 minutes before 11 o'clock, I've got private investigators on our Across the Desk feature this morning. What question do you have for them? And if you have hired a private investigator before, what was it for? I'd like you to share your experiences with us. Maybe you're in the same industry yourself and you want to share how the industry is like. You can call on 011-883-0702. Your WhatsApp's on 072-702-1702. A message on the WhatsApp line says, "Hi Clement, I hope you and your guests are good there. I've always had an interest in becoming a professional private investigator. I want to know from them if it is something one has to go to training for or university to become one, or are there institutions that offer training on this profession? Thank you." That's a message from Tabo in Soweto. Do you need to go? Can you go to an institution to study for something like this? How does it work?
Well, let me answer your listener as well. Tabo, good morning. There's a couple of universities that you can go to. We would advise our young people, make sure that you get CERA registered if you're going to get into the field. Study forensic investigator courses, and start in entry-level roles like research or interviewing, and then find a mentor and build a reputable and reputation and integrity. So there's a couple of universities that you can study these courses. UP, you can study a BSc in forensic science. UNISA, you can undergo forensic investigations that will entail cybercrime, economic crimes, and forensic crime intelligence. And then UJ, you can do your High Certificate in Criminal Justice and Forensic Investigations, NQF Level 5, and it's 1 year study that you can do that, or part-time. And then obviously UKZN, KwaZulu-Natal University, University of Cape Town, Stellenbosch and Witwatersrand, you can go there. And you need to do that, obviously, to get the study behind you. But I think Chris will assist me here. Your skills and being in the field and the experience you gather when you do investigations will definitely assist. And obviously, if you've been in the South African Police Service, that's a good background to have. But they can go and study for this.
All right. There's a question here, Chris, that someone is also asking. Let's listen to this WhatsApp.
Good day, Clement. I would like you gentlemen there to tell us, how do we tell a scam? Where do we check if there's a body they register to? Because I was once scammed, because I was desperate, wanted them to check immediately. and they made me do payments, cash payments. Then I paid through the account, and they didn't pay me back. So I didn't know where to check to know they are genuine, because every profession has a body they register to. If they can tell us there what to do, how to check. Thank you.
Okay, so how do you verify that this is a registered, private investigator and they're legit?
Okay, good morning to your listener, Margul. Nice to hear from you. Good, thank you for that question. Okay, so there are ways and methods and means to identify and verify a scam, mainly because a lot of scams are being committed nowadays. People, as I always say, desperate times, desperate measures. So yeah, just in the case of a so-called car scam, where it depicts on Google that this company is it seems to be authentic company that sells motor vehicles, they do send you an invoice, because normally the process is that you would request an invoice to proceed with the payment. Then you have to obviously look at the fine print on the telephone numbers, make sure those numbers are then registered in the actual company, because what these individuals do, they then would get familiar companies or companies that are registered, that have been in the business long, with a name out there that they would use to scam you. So then on that said invoice, one would have to follow through with all the fine print. Yes, the account number, make sure it's in the name of that said company, even though they would use that similar name to open a banking account. But look at the finer print. If there's a VAT number depicted on the invoice, scrutinize that or engage our services, myself or Quest investigators, that we can follow through with the due diligence in order to ascertain conclusively the authenticity of the said company. But yeah, just further on the invoice, yes, VAT number, registration number, then again, approach us with that, see if that actual company is registered, even though the company that is depicted on the invoice would reflect under our systems that we initiate to authenticate people and said companies, and to make sure that a registration number does appear. And if it's not the same registration number as the company, legitimate company, then yes, for sure this is a scam. All right.
Okay, so but verify. That's always very important.
Yeah, ultimately, yeah.
Maybe I can just add, Clement, you know what, and I think Chris will acknowledge this. The best thing that the listeners can do is get a reputable private investigator, make sure that he's registered to see it on all the authority and bodies, set up a face-to-face meeting, and let's discuss before you lose money. If we do get documents or invoice like Chris referred to, we are the right people to make sure that will do the due diligence, we'll confirm that it's a legitimate transaction, and we'll give the heads up, or we'll tell the client rather not. Stay away, because we get a lot of those cases anyway.
Yeah, okay. Here's another WhatsApp voice notes that have come through. And while I played, there's someone who's asking about what is the most intriguing case you've ever worked on. And so while you think about that, here's a question that's also come on the WhatsApp line.
Hi, Clement. I just want to know from the gentleman there, what are the tools of the trade that private investigators need or will need or use in their job? Thank you.
Okay, tools of trade. What do you need? What do you work with? Well, I mean, you need a gun for sure.
100%. You need a couple of guns.
You must know how to drive fast.
100%. You need to know what you're doing, and you need to be diligent, and you need to be wide awake when conducting investigations or surveillance, etc. The tools that we need in the industry is actually high tech, and we try to keep that to ourselves, Chris.
Don't reveal all the secrets. There's a reason you are private investigator.
Exactly. I can't give you my all the things that we use and do. So the tools that you need is you need to have a good background. Make sure that you're registered with all the local authorities that you need to be reputable and be existing in a company that can handle these matters. And then obviously, like you said, you need some guns and whatever to protect yourself. But you also need good high-tech equipment if we do conduct surveillance, Chris, to take the photographs, to take the videos, and make sure that when we gather information, we have a lot of search engines legally that we then approach, and we get a lot of information to make sure that we have gathered and obtained the right information when doing an investigation.
Okay. And the most intriguing case you ever worked on?
Well, again, in this business, you got to be very discreet, client discretion. You cannot disclose or divulge any information, or the said client for that matter. So it depends. Every case is unique. Yeah, intriguing, there's a lot, depending on when and where, and whether it's a domestic matter or criminal matter. But yeah, I'm going to be light on it because I don't want to divulge too much on criminal matters because we could sit here and talk the whole day. But very with the domestic matters, it's to play the game, hide and seek, in order to get results. And the information that you get, the evidence that you gather, that at times that you feel that, this is not possible. How could it be possible? And the set evidence that you need to relate to your client to say, but this the reason being why your husband had an affair, or vice versa.
Do you talk to people on the ground as well, interview people when you're investigating even those domestic issues? And are you not scared that they may then start telling?
No. Clement, no, not at all. Not at all. And I'm sure Armand will agree with me. It's the absolute discretion between yourself and your client. You do not disclose anything, not even to a friend. I mean, because that remains between you and the client at all times, because you would not know what could happen in due course in the future. Because within my case, being discreet and being honest and executing my investigations very well, I have clients that have come back to me on an annual basis, or 2 years or 3 years that they phone me. The same client with the same matter,
same domestic
matter. And what is interesting here, Clement, is that they use you find these rich ladies. If I go back in the 90s, they would pay up to 150,000, 300,000 just to get proof
that the husband
that they can show their husbands, look, I have evidence. Yes, this is you. This is what you're all about. All your lies has come to surface now. And they would then return in a year and say,
do the
my
same
husband's
thing?
back to mischief. One has to obviously have to follow through again.
Yeah.
And but again, indirectly they pay, because these rich ladies would pay with their husband's credit cards.
Oh, they use the husband's money.
They would find money, so that's not a problem for them. And we deal. It's always better. It's there always to help anybody in any situation. Doesn't matter what you got. A private investigator has to have that sincere emotion.
Okay.
You have to have that relationship.
Yeah. I mean, it's only fair that if he's already cheating, so use his credit card.
100%.
Just use it to investigate him.
100%.
And for you, what's been the most intriguing case, without, of course, talking about the clients, but just the generals of it?
I'll get to that now, Clement. Just to add to Chris, maybe. We always say to our clients, probably a leopard never loses his spot. So, we try to do counselling and see if we can save that marriage. But sometimes it works, sometimes it don't work. So 6 months later or a year later, you'll probably get your client back in your office. So we make sure, just to touch on that we sign mandates, we get consent from the client, and we also sign NDAs, non-disclosure agreements, because all that information is private and discreet, and we keep that at office like that. So to tell you about a case that tested me, one memorable case involved tracing stolen corporate funds. So we do a lot of assets investigations, etc. So the stolen corporate funds across multiple accounts and jurisdictions, it required weeks, and I mean weeks of coordination with attorneys, forensic, SAPs, and to obtain the right Section 205s from SAPS and or a summons drawn, and we can get the information. The breakdown came through from a single overlooked transaction. So we always say prove that persistence pays off.
Clement,
Yeah.
sorry if I may ask, I was actually following through with it, but domestic. I thought the intriguing matter would refer to domestic, but can I just
yes, please
talk about a criminal matter?
Mhm.
It was back in '98. A client engaged me that his son was a drug addict, abusing drugs, and that he was sought by a drug cartel then. And we then were assigned or mandated the investigation.
To check who the drug cartel is?
To actually go and find, because this son was subsequently kidnapped and he was taken to Swaziland.
Oh.
And he was hid in the mountains. One had to proceed through the swamps towards the mountains in order to find him. I actually did this on my own because I didn't want to jeopardize my teams, make sure that they're okay, Yeah, that was a very tough one. And being alone in the dark at night in a foreign country, in the wilderness. And
couldn't you find some local guys you could get to give you some
I had
protection?
to go through villages, and it was very quiet. I ended up, luckily and fortunately, I think my faith had remained with me, because I happened to see a church, and I did do a bit of a prayer, because at times you have to because of the severity of cases and the dangerous work that one does. But anyway, we were not. Well, I wasn't successful. Well, I was successful in pursuing the matter in the mountains and all of that. But we could not find the boy. He was 19 years old at the time. And a week later, I heard that he was found deceased in Brazil. All right, so that is...
How were they able to move him to Brazil?
Yeah, you see, these sophisticated syndicates, they know how to go about in their criminal activities. And today, currently, you hear about a lot of drug cartels, especially higher up. That's in the news. But back then, yes, it was there, because it wasn't just that, it wasn't exposed that much. But I happened to get that case. So, yeah, you just got to follow through. And I think what my experience that I've gained with military intelligence, and I would say the approach I had and the readiness and afraid of nothing, and what I've gained and skilled has helped me through that investigation. Yeah.
How do you guys cope with like the psychological or emotional toll that certain cases can bring?
Yeah, Clement, I think in the beginning the same with Chris, it used to get to us, and, because we showed sympathy with our clients, it gets to you. But we've learned through the years to rather have empathy. So we understand what's going on. We'll assist where we can. And there's some matters, I did a attempted murder case on the farms one day, and I don't want to say where because it's still hurting the family, where elderly couple were assaulted and stabbed with knives, and we had to go back to the scene and gather evidence. So not all the evidence was gathered from the South African police services. So it took us 3 days in that messy, bloody house or home where they lived and where they ran from the kitchen to bedrooms and wherever. So we analyzed and we gathered information for 3 days. So when I get home at night, I smelled like blood. So that got to me, and it still sticks with me. But we've learned, and I think Chris will confirm this, we've learned to have empathy, and we're used to it. There's a lot of stuff, and I say this with all due respect, that my wife doesn't know what I'm doing. And it keeps her safe. We've got at our office, because we work national, and I've got a couple of offices through the country, all our staff know that we can rely on each other. We'll share and debrief every matter, and that's how we,
Talk about it.
Talk about it and get it off our chest.
Yeah. Here's a WhatsApp voice note that's also come through.
Good morning. Is it true that it's best to work alone as a private investigator? Only because people can be bought and people can be manipulated. And if you are working alone, you cannot double cross or sell yourself.
I'll get with that, and then Chris can probably follow in that. Yes, you can work alone. Obviously, you can. There's no restrictions to that. But having the staff that I have right through the country, we are trained, and we have loyal investigators that will stick to our morals and our code of conduct in the company. So everything will be not disclosed. We'll internally disclose it to each other. We cannot be bought. You don't have enough money to start with that, and we don't do that.
Yeah.
We've heard of, let's call it fly-by. Now it's private investigators that will do a matrimonial, get evidence, and go to the other part and demand more money.
More money. So that's extortion now.
Extortion. Then they'll extort the other party just to make money. So we have enough work. Myself and Chris has been in the industry long enough. We have enough work, and we don't work by those ethics.
Yeah.
You come to me, and you'll remain my client forever.
Yeah. Chris, for you, sometimes, you've already know in this case, because it was so dangerous, you decided to work alone. Does it happen often or only on specific cases?
Yes, Clement, I'm actually fortunate because the guys that I have are genuine, because I call them my lead detectives. Because if I get a case in the Eastern Cape, say Miditsani, if it's a kidnapping, I know the cops there that I can trust.
Okay.
They're normally senior officers that I can engage with, that I know. But yes, every investigator is unique. But as cases, as your years, when you started initially, you build contacts. And it's very good to have contacts and have somebody that you can trust within your company. But I've learned through my industry that, yes, as I go ahead or forward with cases, respective cases, doesn't matter what the charge is or the complaint is, that I make sure that I can execute well because I have a bit of a backup.
Okay. Yeah. How do people get a hold of you? Amand at Quest Investigation Agency. You gave us the website earlier, actually.
Yeah, I gave. I'm going to read quickly all our telephone numbers. And I'm going to ask the listeners not to call us after 10, myself or Chris. We get calls 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. I can't help you that time of the morning. But engage with us either by WhatsApp or leave us a phone call, whatever. So just to give you where they can reach us, we on social media all over. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. They will find us, Quest Investigation Group.
Okay.
So there they can engage with us. Other than that, our telephone numbers in Joburg, 011 425 4446 or 425 4578.
Okay. And the WhatsApp?
WhatsApp number 082 654 9999. And that's also my number. But please, guys, let's just stick to WhatsApps for now.
Okay.
Our Cape Town branch 021 569 8888 or 8889.
Okay. And for you, Chris, how do they get a hold? Are you guys on social media? Do you have contact number?
Yes, Clement, if you Google private investigators in South Africa or Sandton, we're primarily in Sandton, but we're based nationwide. So if you Google private investigators in Sandton or South Africa, you'll see SSI Consultants, established 95, strategic in-depth investigations. Our national number being 087 550 3007. Our WhatsApp number 078 007 1412. Yes, you can WhatsApp at any time. If your child goes missing on a Saturday night, she goes out with a friend, she says she's going to sleep over, the next morning she doesn't come home, you can call us. We're always available on WhatsApp anytime.
Okay.
Doesn't matter. We can assist you on a Sunday morning, no matter what.
Okay. That's we've gotten the numbers, and if you didn't get any of that, please just call the producers. They'll give them over to you. Amand Trollip, Chris Britt, thank you so much for making time for us.
Anytime. Thank you, Clement, and thank you to the listeners. It was very nice.
Mzansi, walala wasala. Panda Pusha play Powerball for the massive 83 million rand guaranteed jackpot this Friday and step closer to a world of endless possibilities. Get your lucky numbers ready and play Powerball for the guaranteed 83 million rand jackpot today. Buy your tickets now in store on nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app, cell phone banking, or simply dial *120 *7529# for USSD. Panda Pusha play. Players must be 18 years old or play responsibly. E2 is a proud operator of the National Lottery.
Every December, it's the same story. New toys, new clothes, and more takeaways. And by January, the bonus is gone. Grow it, don't blow it. With a NetBank investment. Invest 100,000 Rand or more in a NetBank 12-month electronic fixed deposit account and stand a chance to win 50,000 Rand. Invest your bonus and grow your future. See money differently. NetBank. We're licensed FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply. Brush, stroke, paint, color, protect, and admire. From roof paint to exterior textures and interior silk, Warrior Paints has it all. The product range and stylish colors are amazing. And what's more, Warrior Paints has crushed prices for incredible savings. Enjoy that good old-fashioned personal service you deserve. For price, quality, variety, and service, Warrior Paints is street ahead. Warrior Paints, affordable, lasting, luxury.
Cell C is now proudly listed on the JSE. You can say we put the C in JSE, the pinnacle of a 24-year game-changing history, giving South Africans affordable, reliable connectivity. We've adapted and perfected the ABCs, now ranked #1 in SA for video experience on 4G and joint #1 for network reliability.
Really?
C. Now nothing should stop you from being a part of the C. Speak to your broker. Cell C.
Time for the news, and this Eyewitness News is brought to you by Vouch. Hassle-free insurance is possible with your Vouch advisor. Vouch SA is an authorized financial services provider. T's and C's apply.
This is EWN.
Good morning, I am Sfiso Zulu. Public Works Minister Dean McPherson says his department is working closely with the Special Investigating Unit to clamp down on corruption, which includes lifestyle audits for senior management. A second phase of audits, which began in March this year, intends to cover 400 officials, mostly those who work with tenders and projects, and should be completed in the next 2 years. Briefing the media at Parliament yesterday about progress made in his department over the last year, McPherson said officials who have refused to cooperate can expect to face consequences. Lindsay Dentlinker reports.
Minister Dean McPherson says he's expecting the first report on the latest round of audits to be handed to him later this month.
While most officials have complied, a small number have either delayed submissions or failed to cooperate, and the department will now act on non-compliance once the SIU findings are complete.
Director General of the department, Sifiso Mdekane, has confirmed that he is among 48 executives who have already undergone a lifestyle audit in the first round.
So this particular aspect, I think I must indicate, it's actually very costly, Minister. However, it's something that we need to actually ensure that it's done.
At the same time, the department is also looking to weed out ghost employees. An official in its head office who received 340,000 Rand between April and August this year without rendering a service to the department has been suspended, and criminal action is looming. The final audit across all regions is due to be completed by the end of March next year. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News.
The EFF says it will support the upcoming motion of no confidence against KwaZulu-Natal Premier Tamin Ntuli, and IFP member was elected through a coalition made up of the ANC, DA, IFP and NFP. However, the NFP has since withdrawn from the pact and has now supported the MK party's motion to remove the Premier. The KZN Provincial Legislature is expected to hear the motion on Monday. Alfred Mushwana has more.
With the NFP no longer part of the KZN coalition, the ANC, DA and IFP government now holds only 50% of the seats in the legislature. If the NFP decides to form a coalition with the MK party and the EFF, that bloc would also hold 50% representation. This leaves the provincial legislature without a 50% plus one majority, creating a potential risk to the stability of government. EFF leader Julius Malema says despite this uncertainty, the party will still support the motion to remove the IFP DA and ANC coalition.
We support, I said, the motion of no confidence. You know, you need to differentiate between supporting a party and supporting a motion. So there is a motion on the table, irrespective of who put that motion. If the motion makes sense to the EFF, we'll support it.
Malema says since Umkhonto weSizwe is the largest party in KZN, it's only fair that it should be the one governing the province. Alpha Ramshwana, Eyewitness News.
And a tribunal set up to confront an ongoing women's rights crisis in Afghanistan has ruled there's evidence of a systemic denial of women's rights in the country. The tribunal, convened by a coalition of Afghan civil society organizations and the Permanent People's Tribunal, presented its findings at The Hague yesterday. The outcome follows a 3-day tribunal in Madrid where women presented testimonies to challenges the Taliban and international community to uphold women's rights. Carlo Peterson reports.
The People's Tribunal has ruled there's clear evidence of institutionalized discrimination against women and girls in Afghanistan. The tribunal ruled the evidence shows a basic denial of fundamental human rights. International women's rights activist Malala Yousafzai says the judgment is a major step forward.
I have talked to so many Afghan women activists, to Afghan girls who are not giving up on fighting for their rights. It is a recognition that the Taliban's treatment of women and girls is a crime, and it is a system that resembles gender apartheid.
Yousafzai called on the world's leaders to hold the Taliban accountable and uphold women's rights in Afghanistan. Carlo Peterson, Eyewitness News.
Gold is trading at $4,287.79 an ounce. The rand is at 16.83 to the dollar, 22.53 to the pound, 19.75 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $61.55 a barrel.
And in the traffic, we've got an accident on the M1 South right after Greyston Drive. It's causing delays. Please be on the lookout there. While traveling on the N1 South, there's queuing traffic between Rivonia Road and Winnie Mandela Drive. And then again between Winnie Mandela Drive and Malibongo Drive due to roadworks as well as an accident.
A partly cloudy day in store for Gauteng this Friday, with afternoon showers and thunder showers expected. The temperatures will peak at highs between 25 and 27 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour: Public Works Minister Dean McPherson says his department is working closely with the Special Investigating Unit to clamp down on corruption, which includes lifestyle audits for senior management.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
This is the voice of reason speaking.
But I could sound like this.
Or I could sound like this.
Whatever I sound like, I'm saying, listen, Uskapaiza, this insurance thing.
One wrong move and it's not vibes.
That's why you need Vouch.
Someone who gets you and insurance. No spam, no pressure, just honest advice and cover that fits your life.
Because when life happens, you don't have to be the expert.
You just need to know who to turn to. Vouch. Someone on the inside, on your side. Vouch SA is an authorized financial services provider. T's and C's apply.
You're with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
Let's walk the talk. Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856,
92.7 and 106 FM.
9 minutes after 11 o'clock, Dumelang, Sanbonani. Welcome to the third and final hour of the Clement Manyathela Show. Thank you for staying with us here on 702. Time now for our relationship feature.
Relationship issues
Relationship talk.
on 702.
So, on our relationship feature this morning, we are discussing the grey divorce. Have you ever heard of the grey divorce phenomenon? The late life divorce? The people who divorce after 50? We often assume that couples who have weathered about 20, 30, or even 40 years of marriage are safe, right? But that's not really the case all the time. There are couples who, even after having spent nearly half of their lives together, can decide to end the relationship. And as we age, of course, there are a lot of challenges that life throws at us. There are a lot of changes that happen as well. And one such challenge is the increasing worldwide for many people over 50 years old to divorce. So navigating this kind of divorce can be difficult. In fact, just navigating a normal divorce is difficult. But grey divorce can be more complex than your normal divorce at a younger age due to accumulated assets, due to retirement accounts, or we're talking now potential health issues. And yes, one would think that divorce in couples over the age of 50 who have been together for years would not be as common as the younger couples, but it is. Grey divorce is on the rise, and the reasons behind it are very complex and varied. In fact, statistics suggest that factors like empty nest syndrome, when children are leaving, now they're going to university or they're getting married, starting their own families, and you're left at home with your partner. That empty nest syndrome can also contribute, shifting priorities, financial problems, reduced stigma surrounding divorce. That's also helping play a role. So, and I want to know, I would like you to share your experiences with us. I'd like you to give us a call on 011-883-0702. You can call us right now or send us a WhatsApp voice note on 072-7021-702. Are you someone that divorced when they were over 50 or when they were in their late 40s? But when you were over 50 and you decided to divorce, and what did that mean? Yeah? I want you to share that experience with us. Or are you someone who is in their, you're over 50 and you are trying to decide whether or not this is the way to go, but you're worried because you're thinking, but I've spent half of my life with this person. Why would I leave them? Like, what are the considerations that you make at that age before you decide to walk away from marriage? Or maybe for you, peace is more important. Maybe the marriage has not been peaceful for the last 40, 30, whatever, 25 years, and you've decided, I'd like to spend the last days, last years of my life at least being happy. What have been your considerations to stay or to walk away from a marriage or from a relationship when you've been together for that long? Give us a call, 011-883-0702. The WhatsApp line is 072-702-1702. Dudu Nhlabati Matonsela is a relationship coach who's going to guide us through this conversation. Dudu, how are you?
Morning, how are you? Is it still morning?
Morning.
We need to check. How are you?
It's still morning. I'm good, but as you can hear, my English bundles are also running low.
Oh, yeah.
The whole year I've been using them. So from next week, Jay, on the show, just bear with me.
Your English will be
English.
Okay.
Blind. Okay, so the subject we're discussing today, grey divorce, the grey divorce phenomenon. How do we define grey divorce, and why is it becoming such a globally recognized trend? I mean, honestly, and I know it's a bit of a toxic mindset, but when people have been together for like 35 years, what are you doing walking away?
And weirdly enough, the average of the grey divorcees, their marriage has been around for more than 30 years. So that's the average.
Guy.
Listen, I do understand them. So, but let's start with the definition, right? So the definition is usually people who are over the age of 50 and then deciding to get divorced. And the reason why they call it the grey divorce is because usually now you have grey hairs, right? And, if you peruse a lot of articles, so this is really a new term, and there's not a lot that's written around it, right? And it's still written from an observation perspective, but people are actually not getting to the core of the matter. So from an observation perspective, they say it's the empty nest syndrome. When the kids leave the house, they cite other issues is around finances.
Accumulated assets.
Yeah, and then they also cite people having grown apart. So usually those are the main things. And then also infidelity also features a lot in terms of the reasons why people
infidelity go 55.
But like if old age homes are managing STDs, like you don't know that. That's the biggest problem in old age homes is to manage STDs. So imagine if that is a pandemic in old age homes. They are people now, they are jollaring like we jolla, but a lot of people are citing these reasons because it's from an observation perspective. But actually, if you go deeper into why you're observing great divorces, there's actually two main reasons. The first reason is that if you look at a lot of the divorcees in that age category, they're boomers. And these are boomers who got married in the context of the world that they were getting married to. They were getting married. It was the right thing to do. I got married because I had kids. It was the natural progression based on where I was in life. My mom used to say, I don't expect you to get married in your 20s. I got married at 24 because there was nothing else to do. I couldn't travel the world without a husband. So the most logical thing was to get myself a husband. So what happens is that now we live in a world whereby, first thing, divorce has been normalized, right? It's no longer frowned upon, or taboo and so forth. And what is interesting when you now start getting into the core reason, and this is observed across all age groups, is that people are seeking more and more quality relationships. So what you're finding with the younger generation, women are prioritizing finding a quality partner. It's not that people are no longer believing in marriage or they're delaying marriage. But what people are saying is that I will delay the process of finding a quality partner so that I end up in a quality relationship. So the women are delaying that process and making sure that they pick the right partner. The men are looking and saying, I also want to attract a quality human being. And what qualities should I work upon as an individual in order for me to be able to attract a quality partner? So we're both seeking the same things, and you see it across age groups. Now, what happens now in the 50s is that because of medical innovation, because of the fact that we're living longer, and we're also living longer with vitality. Now somebody says, I actually have another 20 to 30 years of actually enjoying life. And you look at this person that you're with, you no longer have the obligation to co-parent with this person. Your kids have left the house and so forth.
Old enough.
And now you're looking and you're like, I got married because I had to get married. I made this girl pregnant, or because of the fact that...
it was an arranged marriage.
It was arranged marriage. And now society is more accepting of me seeking fulfillment. And this is the observation now that you're seeing, where people over 50 are saying, actually, I still have the energy to enjoy another relationship.
But I love it for them, because why must you spend the last 20 years of your life miserable?
Exactly.
If that's what you've done for the last 35 years of marriage, and of course, not everything has been bad, but at your core that is not the person you would have chosen had the circumstances not dictated. Then why not go a different path? But because at that point there's just a lot that there's a lot at risk. I mean, we spoke about accumulated assets, retirement. So do you find that they are willing to that matters less than their happiness?
No, actually,
living their life?
It's a big problem amongst them. And simply because they come from an era where they got married in community of property.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly. And also what you find is that from an income inequality gap, the gap is much more larger between the male and the female in that particular generation. And maybe some females took time to look after their kids, so they deprioritized their careers, right? And also they didn't have a social structure back then to be able to juggle motherhood and a career. Not that we can. We're trying. But at least I think the conditions are a little bit better than 50 years ago or something like that. So what happens is that the biggest concern right now is the splitting of assets, and who is at a disadvantage when you split assets. And when you actually bring it to the South African context, what is quite interesting is that especially if you look in the in the South African context whereby a lot of males have lost their jobs. And then you have female-led households, even though there is a husband. And there's the whole issue of the pension fund that needs to be split between them, right? And it's a big issue. It really is. So it does place, especially women, at a disadvantage.
I do want to ask you at some point about the advice you have for someone who's listening to us who is graying, whether they're like late in their 40s or early 50s or like just generally over 50, who are thinking, I'm not happy, but I'm scared to actually tell him, or I'm scared to tell her. How do you even begin to broach that subject? Like, you've known me more than you've known all these kids that you appreciate, or that you love, that you're obsessed with. And now you must sit me down and say, this is not working. What do you mean? It's been 35 years, it's been 20 years, it's been 15 years. That's what I want us to talk about in a moment. But let's listen to some WhatsApp voice notes coming through on 011-883-0702. That is the number you can dial. But the WhatsApps are coming on 072-702-1702. Share your experience with us. Are you currently considering or going through a grey divorce? Are you, in your late 40s or in your 50s? Because it's over 50s really that we're relating to. But if you're in your late 40s and this is a consideration you've made and you've thought, we've been here for too long, but I want to do this. Like, what's been your experience like? Have you taken the decision to divorce? What was it like? And what were your considerations? Or maybe you've decided to stay. Maybe you're like, I'm over 50. Yes, I'm unhappy, but where do I go? I've decided that this is the cross I'm going to carry until I die. Why have you decided to stay and why have you decided to leave? Send us a WhatsApp or give us a call.
Good morning, Clement. Sorry, I would like to be anonymous. That's exactly what I did at 49. I divorced, and but what I did is we did not sell the house because I got 4 kids, 2 boys, 2 girls. The other 2, a boy and a girl, they are fine, doing well, educated. The last other 2, one have just finished school, the other one is going on matric next year, doing well at school as well. I'm still looking after them. And I left the house with their mother, okay? And I'm happy. I don't want to get married again. No, sorry. I just want to live my life. And yeah, life is good on my side.
That's interesting. How old are you now, Anonymous? Are you, because you divorced at the age of 49. I'm imagining in your 50s now. But that's fascinating to hear. Like, it's very seldom that you'll hear people over 50 who say, I don't want to get married again. I'm actually okay as a single man. Because for some reason, there's shame associated with dying alone.
Yeah.
And I think that's why a lot of people end up, and I think pressure, time.
Yeah.
You end up just being with people and just sticking it out because I don't want to die alone. How many times do we say that?
I don't think it's particularly shame.
Yeah.
So I think what you find, and especially this is my observation when it comes to income groups, the lower the income group a man, the more likely he's going to get married quite quickly after a divorce or the death of his wife, right?
The lower his income.
The lower his income.
Okay.
Because the idea of having somebody to look after you, it means that you can't hire the other resources to look after you. But the higher the income, where you don't need a cook. You can get yourself a cook. You can get a chef. You can Uber Eats and so forth. You can get a helper. You can do all these other things in life.
That wives traditionally come with.
So the idea of the fact that there's no one to look after me in my elderly years is less a concern. And I find that a lot of guys who have high incomes and are divorced take their time. They actually even seek more companionship than are more likely to get married.
I've picked that up, More companionship, a friend.
Yeah. Sometimes they start with the slay queens a bit and then get it out of their system. And then
But even the 70-year-olds, like 80, they're just going to have friends.
Exactly.
Like, especially from my observation, what I've seen, like in the neighborhoods or the conversations I have, I've picked up that you'll see an 80-year-old woman with this 85-year-old man, and they're like, yeah, this is my partner.
Yes.
And it's in a sense of, we actually met when we were 78.
Yeah.
And we're companion. It's companionship.
Yeah, because I think also the criteria now of choosing a partner, when you have the resources to look after yourself, is very, very different.
Yeah.
Unlike the criteria that you're using to look for a partner, because this is your retirement plan, this is the night nurse you're going to need when you're sick later in your life, is very, very different. So, and I find that when I observe men, the higher the income a guy has, the less likely he's going to rush into getting a wife.
Interesting. I have an uncle who is probably in his late 70s, and he still lives alone. Like, he doesn't have kids. You know, he's tried marriages here and there, but
he's tried marriages.
Yeah, like two, I think. He got one, and then it didn't work out. Got another wife, didn't work out, and I think probably at 55 or 60, he gave up, and he seems happier than the other uncles who you could argue are in marriages.
Because
he's a happy man.
He's honoring himself. Right?
Yeah,
and
I think so.
Some people are not meant for marriage, but there are some people whereby, even if they don't seek marriage afterwards, but they are companionship people. And I think what happens is that because of from a cultural perspective, I think people have to understand why marriage was valued, right? And I'm still a big believer in marriage, but I think that the definition of what makes a happy marriage is very different from the definition of what made a happy marriage then. And I'm looking for the English word for it. But a lot of the time back then, marriage was designed to bring about structure, order in your life, and as a woman, also financial stability. That's what basically marriage meant. And I think now there's a lot of people where they no longer need that. Right. So if you select a partner just based on that, and then maybe you never really fall in love with a partner, or both of you never evolve to meet each other at a point where you really enjoy each other's company. Later in life, when the criteria you use is no longer applicable, you no longer live by those values, you no longer need the things that you needed back then. If you haven't found each other with your partner at a certain point, you're going to struggle. Even if you are married for 50 years, that marriage is not going to be fulfilling because of the fact that it hasn't evolved with your particular needs. So what you might be finding is that you might be finding people who are married for 50 years, but because the marriage didn't evolve with their needs. And when you look at a lot of the articles that are written around great divorce, especially when people have grown apart, you're finding that what they used as a selection criteria back then is very different. Like, somebody has now 10 times more money, does not really need somebody who's going to wash their clothes and so forth. They need more from a partner. But they can't get that because, like, that partner is not that person. It wasn't intended, like, they didn't enter the marriage with an intention to provide that value. That value was, I'm going to bear you kids and I'm going to cook for you.
I mean, what you're telling us then is, be very intentional about the people you marry, because you've got to survive the evolution of humanity and society, because things are going to change. And in 50 years' time, am I going to be happy with you, Dudu, that I got married with in 2021?
Exactly. But listen, even though you become intentional, you're intentional based on your current value system.
And the values change. Let's on. Another person on the WhatsApp line says, Clement, I've decided to leave my marriage at the age of 51, and we were married for only 4 years.
Was that a second marriage? Because they fail more than first marriage.
The first, or we were married for 4 years, but she took all of my 50% pension fund for the work that I did 29 years ago.
And, I'm not sure what race this person is, and this is the reason why I mentioned this. I find that because the institution, because remember, pre-1994, like, our parents came together, they didn't have much asset. Whatever poverty we were in, we were poor together. And we didn't learn as Black people how to negotiate our marriages in terms of the contracts very well. And what you find with a lot of Black people is they enter marriages. Because, for example, if he's 51, it means he got married at 46, 47. And you got married in community of property.
that was a really big risk, right? But you might find that is because he wasn't educated enough with the contractual system of marriages and the implication that it will have in his life. Like now, you've worked so hard and probably the person is taking half of your life's savings and so forth.
Sure.
And that's what you're finding. And I urge people to educate themselves. Yes, there's a decision around you love this person, but there's also a practical decision, especially if you're coming in with kids.
Yeah, there's consequences here.
Yeah.
Sure, yeah. I mean, you've been married for 4 years and she's gone, like 50%.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I mean, we don't have context. Maybe these people have been together for longer, but decided to marry at a particular time. More of your calls and your WhatsApps. Have you considered, are you considering, or are you going through a grey divorce? Is it something that you have done? Have you gotten divorced after 50? How did that look like to you? How did you navigate that? Have you decided to stay even when you're not happy, to avoid a grey divorce? And what were the considerations for you? And I'd like to hear from also the young couples as well, even if you're not over 50. Like, how intentional are you about, future-proofing, if there's even such, your marriage, so that even when you're 50, when you're 60, when you're 70, in some way you're able to have been evolved with your partner, and you are not getting to a point where you experience a grey divorce. Give us a call on 011-883-0702. WhatsApp's on 072-702-1702. It's 11:31. Swisso, hi.
Thanks, Clements. Good morning. The Department of Public Works is starting from scratch to reinforce a dome tent that is meant to serve as a National Assembly chamber. The process will happen while Parliament is being rebuilt after a New Year's fire almost 4 years ago. In October, EWN reported that skins of the tent had started to rip open, exposing the interior after the Cape winds battered the structure erected on a parking lot across from Parliamentary Precinct. The list of names for the position of NPA boss will be recommended to President Cyril Ramaphosa following interviews. 6 people were interviewed for the job this week ahead of current NPA head Advocate Shamila Batoyi's end of term next month. One of the candidates interviewed is Advocate Menzi Simelane, who was sacked from the same position in 2012 after the Constitutional Court found that his appointment by former President Jacob Zuma was invalid. And in Hong Kong, the pro-democracy media tycoon Jimmy Lai will receive the verdict of his national security trial next Monday. Lai, who turned 78 this week, is charged with foreign collusion under Hong Kong's national security law. Beijing imposed the law following a huge and sometimes violent protest or pro-democracy protests in 2019. And those are the headlines. This EWN and more at midday or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
Traveling on the M1 South in the Bramley area, we've got an accident reported on the M1 South right near Corlett Drive. Delays coming out of Grayston Drive. There's also queuing traffic along the Winnie Mandela Drive. This is between Witkoppen Road and the N1 in the Fourways area. While traveling in Sharonlee, do expect delays on Malibongwe Drive, both sides of the road, in and out of the N1 due to roadworks. There's also roadworks causing delays on the N3 North between Van Buren Road and the Kilulis interchange. Otherwise, in Amalgam, Mayfair, several roads are heavily backed up there. This is Main Reef Road, Crownwood Road, Church Street, as well as the M2 West. So please be on the lookout if you're traveling within these areas. In the city of Tshwane, we've got an accident on the N14 South. It's been reported right after Littleton Road. It is slowing down traffic. Please approach with care. More updates at the top of the hour with Karabo Jali. That was your last one from me, Amo Ramila. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
John Perlman. Weekday afternoons,
3 to 6.
Is this City Power, from your understanding, is this their move to try and be less dependent on entrepreneurs? Because questions have been raised about issues of pricing, for example.
So it's all very confusing, to be honest, because on the one level, there was this whole thing about this contract for 263 million that was given to 2 20-year-olds that were running the water tanker contracts in Joburg. And everyone was like, well, these people have no experience. So they have that contract. Joburg Water has not paid contractors.
John Perlman.
3 to 6 on 702.
James? Yeah? We did it. Did what? We made it. Where? Not where. When?
Friday?
It's Friday! Friday! And you know what that means?
Yeah, it means we're getting our free scratch cards.
Every Friday, log in and Betway Scratch gives you a free scratch card for a shot at a share of the daily 1.5 million rand.
And you're guaranteed to win a prize.
Every Friday, you scratch, you score. Only at betway.co.za.
Terms and conditions apply. Betway is licensed and regulated by the Western Cape Gambling and Racing Board. No persons under the age of 18 are permitted to gamble. South African Responsible Gambling Program toll-free counseling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710. Winners know when to stop.
Start your summer days with healthy sleep from Dial-A-Bed and save thousands with our summer sleep savers. Our queen-size 40-wing Sleep Tribe Pro foam set is reduced to only 7,999, and our Sealy Skyline Extra Firm Queen set is now only 13,499. Or get a king size for just 17,999. Dial-A-Bed. Sleep for life. Now reopened in the Park Meadow Centre opposite Eastgate Mall.
To walk the talk is to turn words into meaningful actions. And it's what we at 702 are committed to doing every day. We are also committed to following the rules set out by the Broadcasting Complaints Commission's Code of Conduct. To give you balanced programming, fair comments, and accurate news. But if we stumble along the way and you feel we are not living up to the code, let us know on comment@702.co.za. And if after that you're still not happy, you can direct your complaint in writing to the Broadcasting Complaints Commission. Email bccsa@nabsa.co.za. For more, visit bccsa.co.za.
The Money Show.
Weekday evenings at 6.
The sectors that will create jobs, are we seeing more confidence there?
If you look at manufacturing and you look at a medium-term trend and you see the increases that we see in manufacturing, in construction, the volumes of retail sales, there is not much of a movement there actually away from the longer-term trend that wasn't very good. So that is a challenge that we're actually facing.
Richard Downing, the economist who compiles the Business Confidence Index for the SA Chamber of Commerce and Industry.
The Money Show
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
The Money Show, Stephen Curtis, is brought to you by ABSA CIB. Invested in your story because your story matters. ABSA is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider.
Relationship issues?
Relationship Talk
on 702.
23 minutes before 12 o'clock, we're talking about the grey divorce phenomenon on our relationship feature this morning with Dudun Hlabati Matonsela, who's a relationship coach. And we're taking your experiences. If you've got an experience to share with us, maybe this is something you have experienced. You divorced after 50. Maybe you're considering it. Maybe you decided to stay to avoid a grey divorce. What is behind your considerations? You can call us or send us a WhatsApp voice note. In fact, speaking of WhatsApps, a text that came through earlier says, "Hi Clement, I want to remarry. Since I got divorced after an 18-year marriage, I'm happy with my current companion, but still hurt because someone belittled me because of her new work and educational qualifications. So it's risky taking a woman to school sometimes." In fact, that's a message there from Benny in Pretoria. It's not giving us a lot of context, but what I'm getting here is Benny seems to have an issue with a woman that he has taken to school. And then now you either have to find yourself divorcing that person and you think, oh my God, all of that investment. And isn't that the case to do, especially with past relationships? Like if there was a man who had resources, normally they would take their wife to school. Not all cases, like more liberal.
Yeah.
Like liberal, and I use that word loosely, would decide, okay, let me take you to get some skills.
Yeah.
And now when you have to divorce, they look at you now as an investment. Like I invested in you. There's a reason I took you there.
Yeah, and I think that investment then translates into ownership, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think also how they show up in relationships, because usually if somebody has that attitude, not to say all men who take their women to school have that attitude, but if I have the attitude that I invested in you and you are forever grateful to me, right? Then I wonder if that person is able to emotionally show up as required in the relationship, or they think that the fact that I'm a provider is enough for me to show up in a relationship. I mean, if you look at the great divorce phenomenon, one of the things that's always shocking is how the kids receive it. Because most of the time, the kids are like, but he's such a great father. And I always say, just because somebody's a great father doesn't mean that he's a great husband. And just coming back to the person who invests, if you lead from a place of, I financially look after the family, and I've made sure that my family is fed and so forth, and you emotionally neglected your wife, I think it does come as a surprise later in life when she says, I'm not happy. Yes, I have this big house, and my kids are all educated, but I'm not happy. And it becomes a shock to a system, and they see it as betrayal, but they actually forget that when you have to invest in a relationship, it's not only about finances. It's so many things that you need to actually pour into that relationship for that relationship to work.
So there's another message here that says, this is anonymous. It says, "Hi Clement, I want to get divorced. I have more than 30 years with my husband. The problem is he is controlled by his 2 divorcee sisters." Wow, divorcee
How old is
sisters.
this man?
So, but also, why not just sisters?
No, because she's like trying to paint the picture. From the previous relationship. Yeah.
So the message says, "I want to get a divorce. I have more than 30 years with my husband. The problem is he's controlled by his 2 divorcee sisters since he's the last born, and he provides for them more than his kids. We have 3 sons. So I asked him about his family last year, and he responded that his family comes first. This is from his sister's side.
Yes.
They even took our property without engaging me. I'm 51 now. I want a divorce. I can see we're not going anywhere with this marriage."
And I think, you know what, and you can sense a bit of like this hurt and anger, right, in the tone of, and it's quite fair, right? Because, I mean, first thing, married for 30 years, some of the teething issues around getting your family to find their place and the fact that I have a new family, those things should have been at the
still fighting
rest.
about that after 30 years of marriage?
The fact that those teething issues have not been addressed is either one, there's 2 things. She stayed in that marriage for too long, and the man is also not willing to come to the party, the way in which she describes it, right? And I think, the main thing I find with a lot of divorced people who are divorcing, and you see it across all age groups, especially women, is that they don't have a plan. Because we become so emotional. Usually we divorce because he's been cheating on us, or you know what, I can't stomach this behavior, that we're so emotional and we step out of marriages without the plan of what is next. And then that's the reason why some people, divorces set them years back in terms of financially, because of the fact that they don't have a plan. And I guess my advice to this lady is that after 30 years of marriage, if he's not willing to address this issue, chances that he's not going to change.
He's
right?
never going to do it.
Yeah. So, and if in your heart to heart you feel like stepping away from the marriage is the thing that you need to do, and you are at peace with it, then do what your heart tells you. But also because of the fact that, because the way she describes it is that he has not come through financially for the family like he was expected to, and I don't know to what extent she bears the grunt of that financial burden. But she also just needs to, before she steps out, go and consult a lawyer and understand what does that mean and what is the best way to go about it in such a way that you mitigate the risks of losing a lot of money like people have.
Yeah, so someone on Twitter indicated that, Clement, for me, it's the emptiness syndrome. I realized when my kids, all of them left and went to university, that we've all existed here in this marriage for the kids. Is that something that happens a lot, where the kids move out and now you are exposed as a couple? Or actually, you guys have never really had a life as a couple. Because for some reason, I mean, people get married, and as soon as kids come, the attention...
And they keep you busy. They make you forget. Like, we were actually laughing with my husband yesterday because our kids at Gogo's, right? And I was like, we actually miss these people, and I've got small little people, so they still terrorize the hell out of us, right? But I was like, we actually miss these people. But I think and this is what we've done with my husband. We've always been deliberate about spending time together.
Outside of the kids.
Outside the kids. So like, for example, on a normal school term, twice a month, because both the gogos are still alive, they would go to the gogo's house, ship them with the nannies and stuff like that. And we'd have the whole weekend to connect, right? Because we realized that, it is important to maintain this relationship and this connection and find things to do together. And I think what happens is with a lot of people is that you center, and not deliberately, like you just wake up one day and your life is centered because this person is so needy. You've got this little person who's so needy and your life is centered around this particular person. Come back from work and come on, do screaming, do your kumon. Daddy comes in, he's coming into chaos. Very little time to actually connect with each other. And if you're not making that deliberate, one day you're going to wake up and you're going to wake up next to a stranger. And you would have drifted so far apart that it would be very difficult to come back together. And I think also what we must consider is that after a certain age, how na energy to invest in things. Like, for example, when a woman, like I look at my friends who are in their 40s, right? Dating is also complex for them, not only because the dating pool looks the way it does, because they don't just have energy to be spontaneous. Somebody called me at 7, let's go out, let's go and have coffee and so forth and whatever. You're so set in your routine and your ways and so forth. Now you're 55, the kids are out of the house, and now for me to connect with this person, imago therapy, you must go running together. Hey, the effort, and you're like, really worth it.
So what tips then do you have for, because I think this conversation must be also to help couples who can avoid that grey divorce.
Yeah.
So and now to this point that, someone who says, now I realize when the kids are gone, here there's no love anymore.
Yeah.
Like Raborana, what are we gonna do together? So what advice do you have for younger couples or younger married couples who, are getting there where they're going to be 50, they're going to get there when they're over 40, and they want to still have, even when the kids are gone, have some kind of relationship? Do you do dates once a month? Because also, with young kids, it's exhausting and you've got to work. Sometimes there's just no time for that.
Do you know, I find that when you guys have common interests or you have a common hobby, it doesn't feel like you're planning this, right? So if for example, you guys run, and there's a race, like automatically you're now going to a race, and after a race you're probably going to have lunch and so forth. It doesn't feel like it's planned, So I always find that, you need to be deliberate. You need to sit down with your partner and say, like, what, and sometimes it's a trial and error. I mean, I once took my husband to Kizomba Shem, the poor man, for a while.
Kizomba.
Is that Kizomba, that dancing, yako Mozambique,
Is it therapeutic or that's just?
No, it was for us to connect, right?
Oh, just connect.
And we did a couple of things until we realized house music. So
Zumba, not gonna help.
Let's go and see Black Coffee and party with the Gen Zs. It's fine. But through that trial and error, we found what is of interest to us, at this particular age. So I think be deliberate. The other thing is that sometimes in marriages, these issues that you sit with for a very long time, it might not be the biggest thing in your marriage, but it brews over time and over time and over time. And if you listen, especially when you listen to a lot of women over 50 and they talk about why they're divorcing their husbands, there's a lot of resentment. And it can 20 years ago, or an ongoing behavior that was not addressed. Don't sit on behavior. Don't sit on things that are unaddressed, because what happens is that the more your kids get older, they become a little bit independent and they need less of you. And then that space for that void in that house becomes very evident. And if that void is occupied by a big elephant in the room, Nelly the elephant, every single day, right? So what you want to do is that you don't want to get to the point where the issue is so big, and then the day your last born says, out, I'm going to your university, and now you're sitting with this big issue. And, it's very hard now to address this issue because it's just become ginormous and you don't know how to address it. So for me, I think those are the two things. Be deliberate. And also, if there are issues in your marriages, don't sit for years on those issues. Address them.
Yeah. Well, is it fine to be also besties? Because some people get concerned that if we do everything together, like as a young couple, like are we ever going to get to a point where we have our own lives? And what if, as we evolve, we get to a point where I don't want to play golf with you every single week anymore, but I want to do it with other friends and maybe with you once a month or once every second month. But you've already started a structure for years, let's say 10 years, ready bestie, house music, Robana Black Coffee together, you know, let's go to this country. But this time around, we've evolved to a point where I actually want to watch Black Coffee with my friends.
Yeah.
No longer with you. Not because there's anything wrong, but because I'm getting...
You're finding me.
I can't breathe anymore within just the space of us.
I think that's a two-part question. Is it okay to be besties? I think when couples like each other, you're naturally going to become besties. You like spending time with each other. You like being around. You like similar things and so forth. So you're going to spend a lot of time together. Should you have a balance in terms of different people in your relationship, in your life that fulfill different parts of you? I think you should. I think the whole idea of placing your attention on one person and expecting them to come through like everybody else. Like, for example, there are things my husband won't understand that I'd have to call my friend and be like, actually, you know, this and this and this happened, or did you watch this Netflix, what, or something like that. Which, you know, and I think that having a couple of people that surround you and you fill their cup and they also fill your cup, I think it's quite healthy and it makes you a diverse and interesting person. Because also, remember, in a relationship, as much as, yes, this person knows you when you don't have makeup on and so forth, but you're still a sexual being and they need to be attracted to you, right? And having a life of your own outside just him or her also makes you an interesting person. So I would encourage you to do that. And I think in terms of people then going through a process of saying, and you find this not only with partners where you've defined your identity so much as a mom, and then you want to explore an identity beyond that. And as a mom, you were doing pickups and stuff like that and screaming at people, or you were always with your partner where you're going to school events and you're coordinating this, and you're like, let me explore another side outside just being a mom or somebody's wife, right, and stuff like that. And you have to allow the person to go through the process of exploration, because, you know, I always say, as a mother develops, so does the child. As your wife also develops and is happy, so does she pour back into the relationship, and so does the man also pour back into the relationship. And that's quite important. And I think most of the time is people see change as abandonment. I used to do this all the time with you, and you abandon me. And especially if you don't have a life of your own, then it's like you're sitting there twiddling your thumb, waiting for your wife to come back. I'll give you an example. So with my late dad, used to work for South African football. So he used to travel a lot, you know, before he retired. So he had plenty of a life and so forth and whatever. And then he retired. And what happened to him was that as he had this life because of the fact that he was all over the world and so forth, my mom also had to keep herself busy. And she found, you know, church, this and this and this. And then this man retires. I swear to you, once a week I used to get a call, Duduzile, you know your mom left this house at 10 in the morning. And then now it's 3 o'clock and she's not back. Because this guy
doesn't have much to do
outside his job, did not build a life for himself. And now he was just looking at his wife like, you're my bestie, you know. And that's quite important, you know.
Sure. Yeah, that it is. 8 minutes before 12 o'clock. We'll come back with more of your calls and WhatsApps.
In life's most challenging moments of loss, compassion can be your greatest comfort. You shouldn't have to face the financial burden of losing a loved one by yourself. Rest assured, Clientele's funeral plans pay out cash within 24 hours. You can cover up to 13 family members on one plan, ensuring all your loved ones are taken care of, and 3 children are covered at no additional cost. With Clientele, you're not just buying a plan, you're also buying peace of mind. When the time comes, you will need to make important calls with your 200 Rand airtime you will receive when you claim. Plans offer double accidental death cover, as well as transport, grocery, and unveiling benefits. Apply today. It's easy. There are no medical examinations and no paperwork. SMS funeral to 31586. That's 31586. Clientele Life is an authorized FSP and licensed life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
Hi, I'm in grade 6 at Crawford International, and I'm already building my future. At Crawford, we don't just learn, we prepare for the world ahead. By grade 10, I can choose from a range of subjects in any combination. With experienced teachers, amazing extracurriculars, and AI-driven support, I'm set up to excel in everything, from maths to public speaking. Book your personalized tour. Profit International, building global leaders.
Selling your car to We Buy Cars is easier than most things, actually. Ready for an offer? Well, complete the form on webuycars.co.za and you are already halfway there. The quickest, easiest way to sell by far, or on the hunt for your next ride and your next adventure. We Buy Cars makes it simple to find your match among the 12,000 plus vehicles, whether buying or selling. Visit We Buy Cars.
Some numbers bring instant stress, like a speeding fine, another petrol price hike, or that one debit order you forgot about, again. But not all numbers bring panic. Some bring calm and actual life-saving support. With 24/7 emergency support and over 300 ambulances, ER24 is there when you need us most. Don't wait for an emergency. See it, say it, save it. 084 124.
Relationship issues?
Relationship talk.
On 702.
5 minutes before 12 o'clock.
Hi, Clement. Very interesting conversation that we are having here. I'm a 31-year-old woman and I am very intentional with my dating life. I'm actually from a divorced parent household, and I think it's probably one of the best decisions that my parents did for themselves as well as us as their kids. I run a very strict program, as they would say on social media, and reason being is because I do not see myself, going through a divorce one day. That's not personally something that I want for myself, but I mean, you can't predict these things. I got a question the other day. Someone asked me, if I end up alone because of my standards, my values that I seek in a partner, like how would I feel about that? And I was like, I don't mind. To be honest, I would rather be alone than be in an intense commitment, which is marriage, and be unhappy in it. So I think a lot of people just don't see themselves alone. And I think, we need to start thinking about those things as well. And we will have less of these psychological challenges that we see in our world today. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Another message says, hi, Clement. I also feel trapped, but I don't want to hurt my partner. I am 55 years old and I'm married for 31 years. I feel like I wasted their time. Sometimes he suggests we should go for counseling, but I know that if we do that, then I will be free to leave him. At least the counseling will assist him to cope with my departure. It's really hard. At 55, someone feels really trapped. Another one says, Clement, I've been married for 21 years. I'm 49 years old. My husband is not a bad person at all. My son is on the autistic spectrum and my teen daughter is still in school. I have come to a point of my life where I really am okay to be on my own. I don't want to remarry. I battle with the leash around my neck. It's such a difficult decision. I cannot say for sure if I'm still in love. The last one says, good morning, Clement. This is so triggering. I left at 48, divorced at 54. After 30 years of marriage, my children are independent. I am slowly rebuilding alone. This season is the worst, though. I do miss the warmth of my family traveling together. It's only holidays that amplify that loneliness.
Sure.
So yeah, that's some of the realities people are facing. Dudun Tlabati Madonsela, thank you so much for guiding us through such an important conversation. She's a relationship coach. It's now 3 minutes before 12.
To all road users, drivers, passengers, and pedestrians, let us stay safe on our roads. Let us respect the law and the moral responsibility we all share to do what is right. Don't drink and drive. Don't drink and jaywalk. And remember, the road is not a stage for influencers or content creators. Let this season be a time of celebration and family, not sadness and road deaths. Brought to you by the Department of Transport, moving South Africa forward.
Tip your way to glory in the Hollywood Bets Punters Challenge, the free-to-play horse racing game with daily cash giveaways and massive jackpot prizes. Pick all the winners on the race card and you could win 100,000 Rand. Bet 50 Rand or more on your selections using the Bet Slip feature and you could walk away with 1 million Rand. Visit punterschallenge.hollywoodbets.net today and tip your way to the top. T's and C's apply. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counseling line 0800 006 008.
Building a life across borders starts with choices. Visas, a second passport, citizenship, your child's education abroad. And sometimes those choices can be overwhelming. For 30 years, Sable International has simplified global mobility, including cross-border tax, forex, and wealth management, helping you make the right choices with expertise and care. Build your future beyond borders. Visit us at sableinternational.com.
Coming up next, the midday report with Mandy Win. How are you doing, Mandy?
Hey, Clement.
What's popping?
The NPA, another blow as the High Court denies leave to appeal the Ramaphosa ruling. Shamila Batoyi under cross-examination at the Nkabinde inquiry, having a tough time. The Tshwane ANC conference is finally starting. The Deputy Minister of Transport will speak to us about road safety during the festive season. And it's Friday.
Spots and good things too. All right, we'll be back with you next week. Have a beautiful weekend, my friends. Bye-bye.
This is EWN.
Good afternoon, I'm Aurélie Kalinga. The Public Works Department is starting from scratch to reinforce a dome tent meant to serve as a National Assembly chamber. The process will happen while Parliament is being rebuilt after a New Year's fire almost 4 years ago. In October, EWN reported that skins of the tent had started